In a world swarming with boring, predictable awards shows, what will separate from the rest? Rise above and unite the podcasting realm in a testament to the outstanding achievements of the community. The Amalgamania Podcasting and Entertainment Awards. Podcasters, YouTubers, and Twitch streamers, now is your time. Make your voices heard and submit your program by going to amalga-mania.com for all the details, submission categories, and guidelines. The Amalgamania Podcasting and Entertainment Awards, the summer's biggest blockbuster event. You don't want to miss it.
Cowabunga, dudes!
Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, issue number 9, Shadows of the Past, chapter 1. We start out with April, who's in the sewers, now regained consciousness, and she's talking to the guys. So, let me see if I have this straight. You guys were once small, normal turtles, but now, through some kind of mutation, you're way bigger, you can talk, and are ninjas. And your father was a giant talking rat, who also was a ninja, who's kidnapped by a giant cat, also talking, but not a ninja, after he attacked you with an army of killer robots. And all of you got this way because of some chemical exposure in a sewer that happened after the ninjas, normal human ninjas, broke into StockGen where I happened to work and almost killed me. What did you say your names were again?
Michelangelo,
Donatello,
Raphael,
Leonardo. Oh my God, this is too crazy. I named you. So you're the one. What one? Father said there was someone at the lab, someone with an aura of goodness that he tried to warn about the dangers there. That was you, wasn't it? Said Leonardo. Casey helps April to her feet. I don't know about an aura of goodness, but yes, if Splinter is your father, he did help me. I mean, at least I'm pretty sure he did. Not that I'm sure of anything anymore.
Donnie, you forgot to tell her about the part of us being reincarnated and stuff.
Trust me, Mikey, I didn't forget. Whoa. Reincarnation? Let's not go there, okay? I've got enough of insanity to deal with already.
Yeah, well, all the science and cosmic mumbo-jumbo ain't important right now. We gotta find Master Splinter, and since Hobbs in the mix, I'm guessing StockGen's behind all this.
No guessing about it, Raph. Stockman used a device similar to the markings against me at the expo.
That's why I brought you here, April. Once I figured out that you work for StockGen, and you knew the dudes before they changed, I thought maybe you could help us something. The kind of help we need right now is getting inside. Get these things out of StockGen. If the Master's in there, can you get us in, April? Says Raph.
I'm just an intern. I don't really have after-hours access to the labs anymore, especially after that thing with the ninjas, but yeah, I guess I could try. Donnie seems a bit upset. We're not going to be able to just waltz into the place, Raph. I've seen firsthand what StockGen is capable of, and we should assume security is going to be crazy deadly if he's holding Father.
And what about those other ninja dudes that attacked Leo tonight?
He's mentioning the Leo miniseries where Leo fought a bunch of foot ninjas. Don't worry about those jerks. They won't catch us off guard again. And first things first, our father needs us. The scene shifts, and now we see Hob, who sits there grinning ear to ear with one glowing eye as he looks on at a cage as Splinter is strapped down to a table. Dr. Chet Allen is in the background. We can see that he's holding a clipboard.
So quit struggling and face the cold, hard facts. You're screwed. Perhaps you are right, old Hob. Or perhaps you overestimate the control you'll hold over me in this moment of time. Overestimate? You're stupider than you look, Rat. You're racked and strapped and you ain't got nowhere. Even if you did get out of those shackles, the security they got in this joint would tear you to bloody shreds of rat meat. Nah, if anyone's overestimating, it's you. We shall see. Ring, ring! Answer the stinking phone, damn it!
Hob yells at Chet Allen. Chet Allen speaking. Yes, Doctor, it's here. It's for you.
Give me that, you jumpy idiot. Hob.
Mr. Hob, the clients and I are en route to the lab. Everything continues to be satisfactory on your end, I hope,
says Baxter Stockman as he speaks through the phone to Hob. Hob spins a pair of scissors nervously.
Don't get your panties in a bunch, Stockman. The rat freak ain't going nowhere, but this party's getting boring. Time to cut the cake, if you know what I'm saying.
Indeed, Mr. Hobb, all in due time. But sure to tell Mr. Allen not to proceed with any tests until we are present. Stockman out.
Yo, Egghead,
As he tosses the phone back to Chet.
Bossman says to lay off the rat until he gets here. We'll just have to let the scrawny freak sweat it out a little bit more until we start having our fun. My sons will not forget me, old Hob. You know what, Rat? With all the stuff in this joint for maiming and killing, I'm counting on it.
The scene shifts back to the sewers, where Casey and April are talking to the turtles, as they begin to plan to try to figure out how they can go about getting into StockGen. Okay, so the plan is set, says Leo. I don't know how I feel right about this, says Donnie. April, you don't have to help us out if you don't want to. I totally understand. This stuff can get pretty scary. I appreciate you saying that, but no, I want to help. Ever since those ninjas attacked me, I felt helpless, and I feel like these things are falling back into place. Like, I'm getting control over little by little. I really want to know what's going on at StockGen. Maybe tonight we'll find out. You're sure? Says Donnie. Yeah, I'm sure, says April.
Then let's quit stalling and get our dad,
says Raphael. Hold on a sec, guys. We need to grab something real quick. Donnie picks up a broken Mouser body as he holds it up. April's not the only one who can help us tonight. Donnie, big smile on his face as he picks up a piece of StockGen tech. The scene shifts now to a stretch Humvee limo.
My, man at the lab assures me that this is all in order, General Krang.
Krang sits with his arms crossed, and he's flanked by 2 rock soldiers, each with their arms crossed as well, all of them staring down at Stockman, who sits across them while holding a drink in his hand.
We will be arriving at StockGen shortly, and you'll be able to witness firsthand the recovery of the psychotropic compound from our fugitive rat specimen.
So you say, Stockman, but I've gotten too many false promises from you in the past to hold my breath.
Duly noted, but this time I can assure you, my friend, we have the situation well under control.
The scene changes now to just outside StockGen's back door. We see the turtles crouched down in a stakeout position with Casey and April as she's describing to them the best way to get in. We can see that there's a door to the side that's lightly guarded. Okay, guys, this is the least guarded entrance that leads to the high-security labs chambers. I mapped it out for you, and if Splinter's anywhere, he's there. So what now? Says April.
Now we kick some ass,
says Raphael. We really appreciate you showing us the way in, April, but it's best that you and Casey leave it now. This is a family matter.
Wait a minute. What, ain't I family? No way am I staying out of this, Leo. Yeah, Jones is one of us.
Okay, but I just don't want you getting hurt, Casey. We don't know what we're going to run into inside.
Don't worry about me. I'll be just fine.
As Casey pulls out of his bag his hockey mask and his bat, April gives him kind of a look. He's like,
yeah, long story. I'll explain later.
Well, if Casey's not leaving, then neither am I. I don't think that's final. I want to help you guys, and I can at least keep watch out here and run interference if someone shows up. She's fine. Do not get in the way of anyone with weapons. If we're not back in an hour, you need to get out of here. Deal? Deal. Leonardo obviously needs to work on his negotiations and interpersonal skills because April kind of won that argument. Okay, we're running out of darkness. Donnie, you done with that thing yet? Just one more adjustment, and presto. Let's do this. Donnie smirks with the side of his mouth as he holds the newly repaired Mouser. Inside StockGen, we can see that there's 2 security guards who are looking at view screens. One is eating a sandwich, and the other one's looking at his phone.
You see the game yesterday, Lewis? I can't believe all them interceptions. Don't want to talk about it, Jimmy. I mean, come on. The team's heading straight to the last place if the Cheatskates don't ante up for a new quarterback soon, am I right? I said I don't want to talk about it, Jimmy. I'm trying to... Yo, you see that? See what? I'm on it too. That a dog or something?
No, that ain't no dog, Luz.
Crashing through the window comes the Mouser, headed straight for Jimmy and Lewis.
What is that thing? I think it's one of them bomb robots from downstairs. Thing's going nuts. Damn it, call for backup, Jimmy. I can't. Frequency's dead. The thing ain't the transmitter. Let's get our behinds out of here and find some help. Some other guards ain't stopped that thing. Yeah, good idea.
Nice job, Donnie. The guards are bolting. Okay, the robot did its job. It's time to do ours. We see a security camera. Raphael makes quick work of it with a sigh, crushing it. As they head inside, they come up around a blind corner. Yo, Diaz, Rogers, it's from D section. You hear from Lewis or Jimmy lately? Over. Nah, I heard from them noise a little bit ago. Probably just them blasting that damn TV they got. I'll go tear him a new one, says the guard. All of a sudden, we see Leo sneak up behind him with a rear naked choke. Knocks him unconscious. Guy's packing way more heat than those guys at the front desk. You know what that means? Yeah, the bigger the guns, the closer we are. Close enough. Not one more move, says two security guards with guns who come up behind them. Raphael quickly thinks and he stabs one of them in the shoulder with his sai. You mean like this? Then Casey takes his bat and knocks an M16 out of the other guard's hand. He holds him up against the wall. The rat, where is he? What rat?
You know darn well what we're talking about. Punk, where? Says Raph.
Downstairs. Man looks completely freaked out for his life. Raphael knocks him unconscious with a waylay strike on the side of his temple. Leo busts down the doors. Down this way, guys. We're almost there. All of a sudden, they enter into a large room with a modified Mauser that is twice the size of them. I don't think it's any almost about it, Leo. The Mauser starts blasting them with lasers as they all spread out into attack formations. We gotta get close to that thing and take it out, or we're toast. Donnie, we could use another smart idea right about now. Give me 1 sec, I'll think of something. All of a sudden, laser goes past Raph and hits Casey's bat, just disintegrating it. He says,
Rest your brains, Don. I got my own idea. Yo, Casey, catch!
Raph throws him one of his sais. The two speed towards the modified Mauser.
These damn things have chomped and blasted us all stinking night. I don't know about you guys, but I'm sick of it.
Casey and Raph jump on top of it and start gashing at it and just stabbing it with their sais, reducing it to a pile of sparks and rubble.
That was my favorite bat, stupid robot, says Casey. No offense, Don, but Raph's idea rocked pretty hard, bro.
Well, we're not done yet. Let's get ready, guys. I'm opening the door. Donnie uses a control panel to open it. As we can see, as the panel opens, Raph and Don look upon Hob, who's unconscious on the floor. It looks like Dr. Chet Allen, who's over on the side.
Oh man, this just keeps getting better.
Hob's alive! Yeah? But where's Father? Leo looks down at Dr. Chet Allen.
Let's ask Hob here. Yo, Casey, how many ways you think there are to skin a cat? Only one way to find out, bro,
says Casey. No. Back off, you two, now, says Leo. Where is he? Where's the rat?
The others took him, says Chet.
What others?
Others like you. The others with swords and masks.
The scene changes now. Darkness, then we see.
We have returned, grandfather, and we have brought the mutant with us. Hear me, and hear me well, rat. I am Karai of the Foot Clan, and you are a prisoner. You would do well to remember that.
A young Japanese woman with short cropped hair that appears to be either blue or black, wearing a red scarf and a ninja outfit of the Kunoichi, takes a blindfold off of Splinter. We can see that they're in what looks like a Japanese-style building surrounded by many different ninja, all wearing masks and hoods.
Just as you would do well to show respect, rodent, and bow down before Master Shredder.
This is the first time in the IDW series that we have seen Shredder in his full gear. He has his shoulder pads, his arms all with the blades on them, and his trademark claws. He's wearing the Kuro Kabuto helmet. His eyes are pupilless and white, and he has a large red cape. Issue 10 opens in the same spot that we ended issue 9.
From the moment I became aware of my new rat body, I have sensed an ancient shadow looming, a ghostly silhouette that is disturbingly familiar. I have felt the shadow's dark tendrils creeping in, reaching out for me, for my family. But for this foe, a shadow we have not witnessed no better than a fleeting glimpses and uncertain hints until now.
Bound by the hands and on his knees, Splinter looks up at Shredder as Karai tends to harangue him about him.
I am Karai of the Foot Clan, rodent, and this is Master Shredder. And as I suspected, his name is one I have known through 2 lifetimes. But like so many other things in the second life, the face is frighteningly new.
Shredder looks down at Splinter. It seems that he's puzzled. Perhaps he knows him.
The Foot have existed for centuries, Rodent, hidden in the deepest dark, striking out at the enemies when they least expected, and vanishing into the night, until called upon by our master to strike again. We are assassins, we are thieves, we are warriors, we are ninja.
With an indignant look on his face, Splinter replies,
I know what you are.
This surprises Shredder.
Do you? Says Karai. Then, do you also know why we have brought you here? A war is coming, Rodent, one that will begin in the filthy streets of this city and spread to engulf the entire world. A war of power and control, a war of the Foot Clan has planned for ages. And with Master Shredder leading us, a war the Foot Clan will dominate. And what has this to do with me? Says Splinter. The Foot Clan is comprised of the most highly trained, disciplined, and deadly soldiers on the planet. And be that as it may, we will not rest on our laurels. With our enduring strength lies upon our ability to adapt and overcome. You are living proof of that. Our foes have begun enhancing their standing armies with mutated ones of remarkable abilities, as have we, as we see Alopex enters in just below Shredder. You have not answered my question. What does this have to do with me? Says Splinter. You have the opportunity to join us today, mutant, to become a soldier of the Foot Clan. She takes out her katana, and she, with a downward slash, releases the bonds on Splinter. But first, a test. Shredder signals with his hand. Defend yourself, Rodent. The same sword that she had pulled off to slice the bonds of Splinter, Karai throws at him, and he catches. Splinter, now armed with his samurai sword, looks on as a hulking figure of a ninja who's bare-chested with a full black mask, red cummerbund, and regular ninja pants, comes on with a kama, which is kind of like a small sickle that's on a chain, and the chain has little spikes on it. So Splinter is to fight for his life against this large ninja. The scene shifts again. Now we see April is driving a yellow Volkswagen bus with the four turtles arguing in back and Casey sitting in the front. Guys, I'm going to pull into this station for a bit. We've been driving around in circles for an hour and I'm almost out of gas. Join the club, April. Between those stupid robots in the sewer and Stockton, I'm totally pooped. Oh, my aching shell. She's talking about the van, doofus. And she's right. We're not getting anywhere. We need to stop and figure out what are the next steps to take. What's the figure? Some other ninja jackasses got Splinter, so now we gotta get him back. Foot Clan. Huh? The ones who took Father. They've got to be the Foot Clan ninja. It all makes sense. All the stuff Master Splinter has been telling us, it all fits. Oroku Saki, the reincarnation of the robots, even Stockman, and that jerk Hob. It's all leading us to the Foot Clan, our ancient enemies, just like Father said. Donatello takes exception to this. Whoa! Please don't start with that cosmic garbage, Leo. We could use some more common sense and planning right now. Not your paranormal nonsense. Donnie, why can't you get over your swollen brain just for once and look around, huh? And what? What will I see, Leo? Centuries only mystical ninjas out for our heads? You're gonna have to point them out, bro, because I just can't seem to spot them. Damn it, Donnie. You have seen the Foot. Hell, I fought against them. You fought ninjas that you say were Foot, Leo. And that only because Father planted that idea in your thick skull. And now you're convinced that they've taken him without any tangible proof to support our theory. Do you happen to remember the high-tech fight with a Stockman and his goons I had? Where Mikey and his bunch of thugs stealing irradiated materials? And hung out with a super hot girl in a catsuit. See the Mikey series. And Raph slugged it out with a genetically mutated snow fox. Yeah, I remember. What's your point, Donatello? My point, Leonardo, is that the 4 battles that we've fought, 3 of them had nothing to do with anything supernatural. That's 75%, man. And let's not forget tonight's battle with killer robots. The entire conspiracy seems corporate and corporeal. If you take 2 seconds to notice the patterns, it's like a real leader should. Only thing I'm noticing is you two wasting time arguing about a bunch of useless crap. Splinter's in trouble, and we gotta help. I ain't gonna lose him because you two can't stop whining about who knows more. Raphael, stay out of this. Yeah, Raph, this doesn't concern you. Are they always like this? April says. Shoot, they're just getting warmed up, says Casey. April stops, and she can see that this is really grating on everybody. You can see that the arguments that continue until Michelangelo just kind of cuts everybody off. Guys! We all need to step off and chill out. We lost our dad, we lost our home, we lost all our stuff. We've got no food, and all you dudes want to do is fight back at each other. Well, that totally sucks. Instead of arguing, maybe we should be deciding on where we're gonna go next.
I think I know a place we can go, says April. Unless, of course, you'd rather stay in the van and bicker all night like a bunch of 2-year-olds. Your choice, says April. The scene shifts back. The battle has just begun. The ninja starts spinning his chain on the other side, whereas he holds his kama, ready for his attack. Splinter prepares himself as he readies his sword. His first attack is a long swing where Splinter was standing, but he gets out of the way very quickly. And we can see that the chain is going to be a very difficult thing for him to fight. Splinter jumps out of the way and lands in your classic superhero pose. His inner monologue says,
"This is a battle I did not wish to fight. Victory would violate the peaceful tenets that I now hold sacred. Succumbing to defeat, however, is an even less appealing option."
Splinter blocks the kama with the sword and then lands a knee strike to the midsection of the ninja. He reels as he tries to recover. We can see that he was hurt by that.
"My captors believe they have an advantage over me, the element of surprise. They do not realize I spent an entire lifetime fighting alongside and later against the Foot Clan. Their fighting style is only second nature to me. Their moves, their techniques familiar, and though the faces and names may have changed in this reality, the methods, it appears, have not. Old habits, as they say, die hard."
Splinter jumps over the top of the ninja. He does a flip, and much to Shredder's surprise, we could see by the expression on his face, he lands. He blocks the chain by striking his sword through it. He grabs the chain. And with a swing back, he makes a double-leg dropkick right to the side of the face of the ninja, knocking him unconscious on the floor.
"And so, there has always been said, the bigger they are, the harder they fall."
Splinter stands on top of the unconscious ninja, raising his sword. Karai comments,
"Why do you hesitate, mutant? Kill, or be killed."
The scene shifts now to Stock Gen Labs as we see inside the limo has arrived.
I'm going to kill you. That rat was secure, you said. The rat's not going anywhere, you assured me. And yet, Mr. Hobb, I see no rat in this room, mutated or otherwise. How could you let this happen, you idiotic freak of nature?
"Quit yelling, will you? My head's throbbing enough as it is."
You're lucky to still have a head, imbecile.
Stockman just berates Hobb.
Hobb says, "And you'll be lucky to have 10 fingers if you don't quit waving them in my face."
In walks General Krang with his 2 rock soldiers.
"You know, it's surprising this escape could have occurred, Stockman, considering how much respect and discipline you seem to inspire in your subordinates."
Please, General. Your snide remarks are unnecessary. I'll handle this. Once more, what happened to the rat, Mr. Hobb?
"Why you asking me? I told you I was out cold the whole time. Ask that wimp Chet. He saw everything."
Mr. Allen? Where the hell is that fool anyway? Mr. Allen!
We could see that he's gone off to make a phone call.
"Listen, I can't talk. Please tell the master that the turtles came, but right after Karai took the rat."
We could see that Chet is a double agent. Back to April and the turtles. We see that they stand outside an antique store. It says, "The second time around shop. Sorry we're closed." "This is it," says April.
"It's something, all right,"
says Casey. "Yeah, we never said it was the Ritz, but, you know, it's been in the family for ages. My dad was refurbishing it, but he had a stroke, and it's been sitting here unused for a few years now." "Is there electricity and running water?" says Donnie. "Yep, my parents never stopped paying for him. There's a few empty apartments upstairs, too, which, though I doubt there's much furniture for stuff like that." "That's not a concern. We won't be here long. We just need a place to rest and make plans," says Leo.
"I can use my size to Jimmy open the window."
"Or I can use the keys." "Ninjas. Yeesh," says April. Inside, it's exactly as you would have expected. You know, the turtles are all standing in awe as they look onto the antique store to see what they find. Their mouths agape as their eyes are wide. I was hoping to fix the place up myself between school and internship, but there just hasn't been any free time. Like I said, not much, but at least you'll be out of sight, and that's really what you want, right? Let me hit the lights. Ta-da! At the same time, we can see Donatello and Michelangelo yell, "Awesome!" Mikey looks at a long box of comics, and Donnie goes over to the electronics. "Whoa! It's a Silver Sentry #1 in primo condition! Vacuum tube classic!" "Well, looks like Mike and Don are digging the joint."
Yeah, 2 nerd peas in a pod,
says Raph. "April, we appreciate all of you letting us crash here, but you've really gone above and beyond for us, and I'm not sure how we can repay you." "Don't mention it. I told you. It works both ways. By helping you guys, I feel like I'm finally helping myself, just as I wish I could do more about your dad."
"Don't worry. We'll handle that,"
says Raph. Raph's right, but first we need to sleep and get some food in us. It's been a long night.
"I'm on it, dudes,"
as Mikey runs to the kitchen.
"Let me guess. You boys are having pizza for breakfast,"
says Casey. "Gosh, it's already morning? I need to get going. I have a huge exam in a few hours," says April.
"I'll go with you, April,"
says Casey. "Thanks. Good luck, guys. First chance I get, I'll check back on you. You're welcome to stay here as long as you need, okay? Thanks again, April," says Leo. Casey and April get into the van. "You think they're going to be okay, Casey?"
"Yeah, no worries. It's really cool you giving them a place to crash. They'll get themselves straight and get back in the fight. You'll see. Those guys, they're survivors."
We see as they drive away, there's someone with black hair and a coat says, new neighbors. Huh. Back to Splinter in the lair as he stands still above, contemplating if he's going to kill this giant ninja.
"My opponent lies helpless at my feet, at my mercy. And above all the shouting, beyond all the tension that now chokes the chamber, it's the word which rings loudest in my head and fills my heart. Mercy. I have won, but if I deliver the merciless killing blow now demanded of me, I will in truth have lost."
"What are you waiting for, rodent? You have passed the test. Now kill him and join us."
"No, I will not execute this man,"
says Splinter. Karai, who now looks just absolutely upset. "Fool! Master Shredder commands you do it. Do you not understand what is at stake should you disobey?"
"Yes, young lady, I will fully understand what is at stake. Honor. My honor. I know much of the Foot Clan, much more than you could possibly realize. More importantly, I know that this was once an honorable clan, but no longer. It is honor that it was destroyed from within by another like you. He too desired power above all things, the complete domination of all cost. He too was wrong."
"Insolent worm! You dare speak to the Master Shredder with such disrespect!
"I will have your tongue,"
says Karai. Splinter readies himself in case she attacks.
"I do not wish to lose my tongue, nor my life, but I am prepared to fight for both. I would rather die than join you and lose my honor. You defile the Foot Clan. I will not be a party to this disgrace."
Shredder says,
"It cannot be. Hamato Yoshi."
Splinter looks up.
"Oroko Saki." His voice like a demon's whisper across time and space from beyond the grave. "My suspicions are laid bare for my enemy. My ancient enemy indeed has returned alive and in the flesh."
Shredder removes his helmet. As we can see, he's got black hair and a top knot, and he's got one rather fierce-looking scar over the side of his left eye.
"Yes, it is I. I would ask how it is that you are here, Hamato Yoshi, and in this form, but I have not returned from my long death to waste precious time on the inconsequential. Karai."
As Karai readies a bow and arrow.
"Destroy him."
That's the end of issue 10.
Welcome to the Epic Tales from the Sewers podcast. Strap into the party wagon and hold on to your pizza. Hi, everybody, and welcome back to Epic Tales from the Sewers. I am Justin, your host, and I have with me a very special guest today. He is the brains behind Cutthroat Comics, Mr. Josh Nealis. How you doing?
Oh, not bad. I don't know how much brains I would have, but
you could be the brawn. That's fine too.
I don't know if I got much of that either. Just the guy behind it, I guess.
I'm very glad that you're joining me. We're going to be covering the issues 9 and 10 of the IDW Ninja Turtles. It's pretty different, isn't it?
Yeah, it's I wasn't exactly sure what I was gonna see when I opened it up. So yeah, I was pleasantly surprised.
Are you a big Turtles fan from way back?
Yeah, like the toys and the movies and the cartoons and stuff. Yes.
Oh, definitely, right?
Yeah, growing up, there was never really like a comic shop around me necessarily. Like my cousin and I, we would get our comics from like a gas station, and of course they only had like Spider-Man and X-Men and stuff. So they didn't have Turtles or anything like that. Now that I read comics as an adult, I've read a few of the runs and stuff, but never this one. So it was pretty cool.
Yeah, it's so interesting. This is one of the things that made me want to start the podcast, because most people know the toys, they know the movies, they know the cartoon, but they don't have any idea. It's like, well, these guys are reincarnated from hundreds of years ago in feudal Japan, and that's kind of like a way different origin story.
Yeah, I was a little thrown off by that because I don't know that I've ever heard the reincarnation thing, and they talked about it a couple times, but you don't get those answers in this one.
Yeah, Donatello is having none of it. So
right, yeah.
he's just like, no, I don't believe any of this garbage. And it's funny because the big differences that you'll see in this series as everywhere else is that Donatello and Leonardo fight the most. They just can't seem to get along.
Right. Yeah,
and they're the two oldest too, I think. So that's part of it.
Yeah.
So,
in the movies, it's always Raph and everybody else.
Oh yeah, absolutely. So who's your favorite turtle? What's your who's your go-to?
Oh, it's Raph.
Nice.
Yeah, hands down. He fits. Even when I was 9 or 10 or whatever, he just fit who I was. Just a smart ass, always kind of doing his own thing. So yeah, that just still to this day kind of fits who I am.
He's tough. He's passionate.
Yep.
He is the ladies' man of the group too. So
Hey,
that is
we
something
go.
to say. The bad boy.
Yeah, I'll take that.
I'm a Leo guy myself. Now something that's interesting to me is I was looking at your bio, and you have a degree in biomedical engineering.
Yeah, I do.
So can you make mutagen?
Unfortunately, it's not as fancy as it sounds.
Okay.
I repair and calibrate medical equipment. But yeah. When I tell people biomedical engineer, that's my day job. They're like, "What?" So yeah, it's not as fancy as it sounds, but it's an all right job. It's not bad. It's easy for the
You
most part.
tinker and do stuff like that? Are you an inventor? Like how does that work? Because I don't have that kind of skill, so I don't even know what that would be like.
It's more so. Yeah, so like medical equipment, depending on what it is. So like IV pumps and X-ray machines and stuff like that. They have to at least once a year be tested to make sure they're working properly. So stuff like IV pumps, depending on where it's at, you want to do it twice a year, and monitors. Certain things in like surgery, like OR tables and stuff, it's just once a year. But yeah, it's like the rules. Like you have to have that stuff checked. That's most of what I do. And then, of course, I do repairs too. Like if something's broken, I'll switch out the parts and stuff.
And it seems like that's something that never goes out of style because there's always hospitals and things like that. So,
oh, yeah. Yep. We're pretty busy most of the time.
That's interesting. So what made you want to get into writing comics?
Well, it's kind of weird because I did it as a kid, but I never really thought much of it. And even now that I do it, a lot now as an adult, I always kind of like, I'm now realizing like, wow, this is kind of what I always wanted to do. And I never really put it together because I remember telling my parents, like when I was young, like if I liked a movie, I'd be like, I want to do a sequel where this happens and that. And then me and my buddy, we would always sit down and draw little superheroes. We'd create all these superheroes and stuff.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So,
I mean, I did the same thing, obviously. So I even remember. So who was the first superhero you came up with?
I don't know if he was the first, but so Stingray is one of my comics, and I came up with that in 6th grade. and I actually did a comic book for like a little contest they had at school. Like everybody had to write a little book or something, and mine was the comic book, and I think I got like a C on it, and I didn't win, but you know, of all the kids in my grade that that did that contest or whatever, I'm the only one that's officially published, so I guess I did win.
Yeah, so take that, fifth grade. Yeah, I was looking at your characters. So you got some interesting ones, including the Stingray.
Yep.
But Pedo Man and Kid Friendly.
Yep, that's our, each of our series are their own kind of animal and their own kind of genre, sort of.
I was gonna guess that's a humorous book, because I haven't I haven't dug into it yet, but I'm like, you know what? This looks like something that would be kind of tongue in cheek funny.
It is. It's very very Mel Brooks, Family Guy, South Park,
nice.
That kind of stuff. It's actually you would think it would be rated R, but it's like not really that bad. Like there's really not that much cursing. It's a lot of movie quotes and stuff and nostalgia and stuff like that.
That's awesome. Do you throw some Kevin Smith quotes in there?
I don't know if I've done that yet. There's some Ace Ventura and
oh sweet.
Okay. Oh yeah. Yep.
He's like, yeah, Ace Ventura 2. No!
Yeah, actually, Pedo Man #2 opens up just like Ace Ventura 2. Where he's
really?
He's climbing up the thing.
Like cliffhanger?
Yeah. Yep.
I love that. That's and so you've got the Ginger Avenger. What's that one about?
That one's our serious book. Even though it has a kind of not so serious sounding name, but that one's, it's about mythology and religion, and it's kind of a alternate history kind of thing. So all the books do tie in together, the comics anyway. But that one's, you know, I wanted to do something super serious, not super serious, but serious, where I could actually dive into a character and really develop him. And because Pedo Man and Kid Friendly develops a little bit, Pedo Man doesn't. He's just stupid. And Stingray develops as well, but Ginger Avenger, it's as you dig into it, you start to see like he's got some issues going on. You know, he's not just happy-go-lucky.
I really like the videos that you had. You had like little YouTube clip videos for each series that kind of went through it. And I thought, I'm like, you know what, this is pretty interesting, because I'm coming in and I have no perspective. And you're giving me a movie trailer based on these comic books. And I have never seen that before.
Yeah, people do it for like Kickstarters and stuff.
Okay.
But I did this basically. I used like Microsoft Movie Maker to do I made those, and the music in it is from my previous band. Before I was doing this, I was in a heavy metal band that we had quite a bit of success, but we ended up breaking up and stuff. But I was
going to ask about the song from the Ginger Avenger, because I'm like, who is this? Because it absolutely rips. So
I don't remember which song it is offhand, but it's probably off our last album, which we hit a really nice studio for that one. It was produced by the guys that did like Chimera, Walls of Jericho.
Oh wow,
Drowning Pool. I mean, tons of bands went to that studio, and we were lucky enough to go in there and have them produce our last album. I've
seen two of those bands. So I've seen Chimera years ago. And I was lucky enough to see Drowning Pool back when David Williams was still alive.
Yep.
It was Ozfest, I want to say either 2000 or 1999. And that was the sickest mosh pit I have ever escaped.
Yep. So, I saw them in Lexington, Kentucky with, who was it? It was Disturbed, Edema, Drowning Pool, Stereo Mud, and Systematic.
Oh, wow. Yeah I did like Edema too.
Mm-hmm.
They were heavy back in the day, so. But that's
their
really
first
cool.
First album's really good. Their second one kind of fell off a little bit.
They went melodic, which I get, but it's not. You know, it's like I don't know if that was what I was looking for from them. You know, I dug their first stuff. I was like, oh, you know, and I don't know why it's coming to mind, but I'm thinking like Power Man 5000 vibe. But
yeah, a little. Power Man actually played in Findlay, where I live, a couple years ago. The club is now closed, but they were here, and I was like, yeah, I'm going to that. They were really good. Yeah, they were really good.
Like Spider Zombie? Yes, please. So,
yeah, it was cool. And
that's awesome.
5 minutes from my house. Yep.
See, I'm in Illinois now, and I grew up in Connecticut, so I saw most of my concerts out there. I have caught a couple out here, and one of the cool ones was, I think it was like Disturbed with I don't know if it was Chimera, but I know Lacona Coil was there, and I'm trying to think who it is.
I think that was Music as a Weapon 3.
Yeah, Music as a Weapon. That was a really good show.
Yeah, see, I was at 2, I think, was the one I went to. And yeah, we opened up for Chimera up in Cleveland. I didn't get to meet them or anything, but we played like right before them. It was pretty cool.
Oh, it's cool.
Yep.
It's really good. Yeah, you know, and I've seen this a lot. And I mean, you could go to like extreme examples, like a Rob Zombie, someone who writes comics and is creative and is in a band. But you know, it's one of those things where it's like you still have that same creative drive and energies and all that, and you know that I imagine that helps with the music as well. So.
Yeah, I don't really play music too much anymore. My band is supposed to do like a reunion show like later this summer for like a benefit thing, which we haven't played in probably, I don't know, it's been like 8 years, but it is kind of funny. I see a lot of comic book people and musicians kind of do go back and forth. There's quite a bit of them.
Well, I mean, it's even like gotten to the point like stand-up comedians. Brian Posehn is writing Deadpool.
Mm-hmm.
You know, Patton Oswalt writes a ton of stuff. So
Yep.
you know, there's a lot of creative crossover and a lot of opportunity now.
Yep.
My dream is, you know, not that I'm a great musician. I'm definitely not. I play a little bass, but my dream is to one day write my own Turtles book. So hopefully it'll be like an anthology or something. Throw it out there.
Oh yeah, I'd love.
It's on the to-do list, man.
Yep. I've had people ask me like, what's your top 5? You know, what would you want to do? And it's like, well, Spider-Man. Give me one issue. Let me just do one issue of Spider-Man. Turtles is, I mean, it's right there. I would love to do that. Power Rangers would be cool.
Wow, Power Rangers. That's one I would have not thought of.
Yeah.
You know, they did a crossover too with Turtles and Power Rangers. We've yet to cover that on the show, but
have you read it?
I have read part of it. I read the first issue.
I really liked it. It was cool.
Everyone I've talked to about it who is a Power Rangers fan, and I was like after Power Rangers. So it was like, okay, you know, now I'm, you know, in 8th grade or whatever. I'm not going to watch this stuff. But everyone I know that loves Power Rangers is like, this is a great book.
Yeah, it was cool. I mean, I think I can't remember if I heard about it or if I saw an image of the Turtles being the Power Rangers, and I was like, I'm in.
Oh, they're coming out with action figures, my friend.
Yeah, I thought I saw that too. Yep.
It's going to be out. I think at the end of the summer or something like that, we'll be seeing those.
Yeah, I can't remember. I think Raph he might have been the Red Ranger. I can't remember.
I know one of them is, I want to say the Black Ranger. Something. It's like something odd where it's like, oh, Donnie. I wouldn't have expected that color.
Yeah, they mixed up the colors a little bit. I was hoping Raph would be the Black Ranger because that's my favorite Ranger.
Oh, no kidding.
And I was disappointed that he wasn't, but that's cool. You know, it's still a Turtles and Power Rangers thing.
I met him. I forget his last name. His first name's Walter. So
Walter Jones. Walter
Jones and Billy Yost, I want to say.
David Yost.
David Yost. Yeah, Billy was his name on the show, right?
Right. Yep.
So they were at C2E2 in 2020, like the last show that we were able to go to, and they were there just pushing their clothing line. Mm-hmm. And those guys are so physically fit that you're like, oh my God, it's like they never left acting and they never left being a Power Ranger.
Yeah,
it's crazy. And I mean, I know they didn't really do too much past that. I saw like a backyard wrestling movie with Walter in it called I think it was called Backyard Dogs. But other than that, I haven't really seen him in much.
Yeah, it's kind of sad that, I mean, not really. I don't know that any really Power Rangers have gone on to do like a lot of great success, which is kind of, it sucks. But at the same time, man, I mean, I would be a Power Ranger right now.
Oh, yeah. Well, there you go.
If they called me, I would be like, yeah, I'll do that.
You're like, yes, I will. I have to say, I did like most of the movie. And again, not a huge Power Ranger fan. But the beginning part of that movie, up into where they get their powers and all that and meet Zordon and stuff, that's a really good movie.
Yeah, I mean, it gets a little corny, but I mean, yeah, when I was in 6th, 7th grade or whatever.
Oh, no, the new movie.
Oh, the new one? Oh, yeah, it was okay. It was a little slow, but
it gets like really good character build up, and you're like, oh yeah, we're hanging out in like an old mine shaft and stuff like that. And then it's like after that, it gets crazy with like Elizabeth Banks and stuff. But I'm like, the buildup of this movie was pretty good.
Yeah, it was all right. I'd watch another one.
Yeah, I'm with you. So you got a couple other to talk about. Carl Vincent Vampire Hunter. What's his deal?
So that's actually the first book that Cutthroat Comics, which is the company I own, we actually published that book for somebody else. So I didn't write that. I think I edited a little bit and I did some of the graphics, but other than that, I didn't have much to do with that book. So it's written by a guy named Kevin Given. He lives in Tampa, Florida. And, he has a bunch of those books, but he brought that one to me to kind of start the origin story. It's interesting. I'm not, I don't really even know exactly where he's planning on going with it, but, so I think it starts off with like a murder and the detectives are trying to figure it out. So it's interesting. I think he's got something pretty cool. Otherwise I wouldn't have published it for him, but, there's definitely potential there. I'm looking forward to seeing where he goes with that in issue 2, which I'm not really sure where he's at with that. COVID has, thrown a wrench in everybody's wheels pretty much.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. So what about shared universe? Is Carl Vincent in the same universe as Stingray and Ginger Avenger?
Maybe. I don't know if he and I ever really talked about that. Maybe. We'll see.
See, I'm a big Daredevil fan, right? And my ideal crossover for the Turtles is that, what was originally intended, they came from that same radioactive stuff that gave Matt Murdock his powers, was what mutated them in the sewers. So my ideal crossover would be where they actually get to meet with Daredevil and fight the Hand and all that together. That would be amazing.
The Hand and Foot.
Exactly. Yeah, because everything is based on Daredevil. Stick was Splinter. Shredder, not really, but that was kind of an independent thing. But, the Foot, the Hand, and Elektra with the size is where they got the idea for using those weapons for Wrath.
Okay.
So
yeah, it's crazy the amount of knowledge, because I watch interviews with those people and documentaries, but you always, each one you watch, you learn something new that they never said before. So it's.
Yeah, they say you're an expert on something if you spent more than 10,000 hours on it. So, I would definitely claim to be that about probably Daredevil and the Turtles. And, I've met so many X-Men fans that know so much more than I do. So I would only call myself like a novice on that.
Yeah, I try not to claim to be an expert on anything because there's always something I don't know.
It's tough too because X-Men fans are tough. That's like a surefire way to start an argument.
Yeah,
I like Cyclops. Oh, you're trash. Whoa.
It is kind of funny. Yeah, Cyclops is one of those characters. I think he's all right, but yeah, I mean, in the comics, he's been quite the douche from time to time.
Oh man, it goes back and forth, and it's just like the writers just love to punish this character. And it's like, what did he do? He had a terrible childhood. Let him have something. And they're like, no.
Let's kill his wife.
Yeah, exactly. It happens.
Give him a kid with her clone, and
yep. And then she's dead, but she comes back. Yeah, it's like, what? Tell me more. Yeah, that's pretty crazy. And I was kind of interested in this one from the video that you had, but Judy and her blue cape. So it's a children's book.
Yeah, it is. So my first book, which was Stuffed Squirrels and Porcelain Angels, is a dark comedy about suicide. And so that left a bad taste in my mouth because it was so dark that I was like, I want to write something that's a little more chipper. And my grandma, who's passed away now, but she had told me, she's like, why don't you write something that I can read? So
there you go.
That was Judy and her blue cape. It's about a 3rd grade reading level. I'm actually just now getting around to maybe start writing the sequel, which will be called Judy and her big stupid bully. But it's kind of obviously I'm not a girl, but it's kind of about me in a way where like I moved around a lot as a kid and I had to make new friends, and you move to a different place and everything's totally different. There's things that everybody else is used to, but you're not. So Judy moves to a new town and she has to kind of venture out into the park across the street, and she meets some kids and they're all very weird to her. So that's kind of what that book is about.
That sounds fun. You said it's like about a 3rd grade level, and
yep, something like that.
That's awesome.
It's pretty cool. I read it to my kid. He is 6. I read it to him last year, and he laughed quite a bit. So that was the reaction I was trying to get. So
that's got to feel great to be able to create something like that and then just share it and get that kind of good reaction.
Yep. That's
I've had my kids on the podcast, and they're like, "That's great. I'm going over here to play Fortnite." Okay.
Yeah.
That's how that works. Now, you mentioned stuffed squirrels and porcelain angels, and it looks like there's another one, bereavement. Was that the follow-up to it?
That is the follow-up, and then actually I have a book. I have 2 books of short stories and poems, which is You'd Be Surprised, and then You'd Be Surprised with a Vengeance. And in With a Vengeance is the final side story from Stuffed Squirrels. So there's actually 3 parts to it. So the first one, bereavement, and then inside You'd Be Surprised with a Vengeance, I think it's called Entropy, which closes up all the characters. They're all their stories are closed up in that. So
that's a perfect title then.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that sounds awesome. I think that reading poetry is something that really helps with personal development. I have always loved doing that. It's something that I feel like a lot of people have gotten away from just because they don't get it, or they don't understand, kind of like what the emotional resonance is from that. And for me, poetry's always been really introspective. Like, oh, how do I feel about this written word?
Right.
So I've always enjoyed it.
Yeah, poetry's kind of weird. Like I said, I've got 2 books where it'll be story, poem, story, poem, story, poem in both of them. And for me, I write poems when I'm at a heightened emotional level, no matter if it's anger or love or sadness or whatever it is. That's when I'm feeling that way. That's when I'm like, I should write a poem right now. And a lot of those poems came from those kind of things. And I always feel weird writing poetry because you feel like you're being like not genuine. You know what I mean? Because you're trying to write that emotion instead of I don't know. But I have had compliments on my poems, which is cool. And then recently I had somebody do a YouTube video where they read one of my poems, and it was really, really cool hearing somebody else read.
That's awesome.
Yeah. To hear how they, inflected their voice and all that. And I was like, okay, I was like, maybe that is kind of a good poem.
That's neat. Yeah. I like I said, I'm a fan of that, and I'll definitely be checking that out. I didn't know that was poetry, so that's pretty cool.
Yeah. Those. Let's see. So I did Stuffed Squirrels 1, and then I did Judy, and then I think I had done Stingray and Pedo Man in there somewhere too. But You'd Be Surprised, I wanted to try to do different genres and everything. So You'd Be Surprised, both of them are like a hodgepodge of just, there's horror, and then there's like a couple stories where you read it, and then at the end you're like, oh, I didn't even realize what I was reading until just now. Like one of those things. Like one of them's about depression, and you would never even know it until you read it. Like it's the stages of depression the characters are going through. There's another one that it's all about grocery stores. And when you would have to, once you read it and then you catch it, then you go back and all the characters are named after Kroger and Walmart.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah. I love that one because people often they'll catch it, but they won't catch it. And then they'll tell me like, is it about why these are all grocery stores? I'm like, yes, it's exactly what it is.
What do you mean, Mr. Albertson?
Right. There's a guy.
But then again, you've traveled a lot, so that makes sense because I'm from New England. I live out here in Illinois now, so I know Stop and Shop. And it's like growing up we had Edwards. Yep. Then I move out here and you have Meyer, and it's like I wouldn't have had that perspective.
Yeah, I think there's like a fat kid, and his name is Piggly Wiggly.
I love that.
Yeah. So, and there's like a lion. It's like a food lion. And then I think there's a giant eagle in there somewhere. So it's an interesting story. I have a story about the founding fathers, and Ben Franklin wants to name the American bird. He wants it to be the turkey instead of the eagle. And they just get drunk and talk shit to each other. Like that one's really funny. That
could have happened.
Right. I think the last story in the first book of You'd Be Surprised is, remember when that hunter went and killed that lion and everybody got pissed off about it?
Yeah, the dentist.
Yeah. Cecil the lion. So I got to thinking, I put like an Animal Farm twist on it where the hunter actually, the animals turn on him like in Lion King and Animal Farm, and they actually rape him all night.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, that one gets a little dark and it's gross, but it's, if you can get into that, I think it's really funny.
I hope Harambe's in it.
I think I maybe wrote that before that happened.
Ah,
I think. But yeah, that story is really crazy.
that's really cool.
It's probably the grossest thing I've written.
That's all right. I mean, that's the thing too. Like with expression and
Mhm.
and like having that and like you said, if you like to do stuff in heightened states, maybe that's what you were thinking at the time. And
Yeah.
you know, that's just how the creative process goes sometimes. And they said Agatha Christie used to write with eating apples in a bathtub. So you know, everybody has their own process.
Yeah, for me, I like for my day job, I drive around a lot. Like half my day is usually driving, so I'll sit there and just think pretty much. I don't really listen to music much while I'm driving, so I'll think about stories and concepts and all that.
Nice. Yeah, that's good when you've got that time to think, especially as a writer. Now, how do you keep track of your thoughts? Do you just keep a notepad? Do you keep it on like a voice recorder?
I've done voice recorder before, although I've got new phones over time, and I lost track of where that's even at. But yeah, I do a lot of notes in my phone, in the notepad there. Like pretty much, I want to say Stuffed Squirrels was almost entirely written. At least the cliff notes was written in my phone in my notes, and then I would come home at the end of the day from work and sit down and type out whatever I kind of noted down.
That's
So
great.
I do that. But comics are the same way. I have lots of notes about comics and stories, and the short stories would always be like, it'd be like a 2-sentence idea for, whatever it was.
I wanted to ask you one more question about your work. You had just sent me over Hellscape,
Mhm.
right? So I have just started to dig into this one, and I already like what I'm reading. What's the big deal behind Hellscape?
Well, I mean, that's my new book. It's the newest thing I've got out, and it's the biggest thing I've written as far as scope, as far as character, as far as the world that the characters inhabit, as far as the thought that I've put into it. So it's Harry Potter and Lord of the Rings big, I think. It's not like them necessarily as far as the content, but it's the scope and everything. The world is I'm building that. But the original concept for this book was I wondered if when you have a sex dream, what if you were to ever see that person naked in real life, would that be accurate to what they look like? And then there's this thing called the Akashic Record that people talk about where certain people can connect to it, and that's where all information is stored.
Oh, like the ether.
Yeah. So I thought to myself, well, what if, when you have those sex dreams, what if you are in fact connecting to that person like human Wi-Fi? And I was like, what if somebody knew how to manipulate that? And it was originally going to be like 50 Shades of Grey, where this dude just walked around the city and just did that, and then I was like, well, maybe it'll be like Inception, where he he makes money that way somehow. And then, but it turned out to be this whole post-apocalyptic, like 400 years in the future. And then there's love triangles, and I think it turned out really, really cool in my opinion. And I think that if any of the things I've written so far were to catch fire, this could be that one. So I'm putting a lot into this, as far as promoting and stuff. And I've already had some feedback, and people seem to really like it already. So that's really good.
Yeah, I got to read a little bit of it because you sent it over, and I like what I've read so far. I was pretty excited to keep going with it. So, I haven't finished it because I'm not that fast a reader, but
yeah,
I like it, man.
And it's the longest thing I've written too. I think Stuffed Squirrels was like 50,000 words. Most of the books are right about there. This is like 83,000, 84,000. So it's significantly longer.
Yeah.
And I found, like, when I was writing some of the other books, even the short stories books, I was kind of grasping for content a little bit towards the end, trying to stretch it out to get that word count. This was not like that. I did not have any issues just going and going and going. And I was like, well, that's good, because, the story is writing itself.
That's really good. Then it's almost an exact example of how you're tapping into that very same subject that you're discussing.
Well, yeah, and that so there's I've seen documentaries where they talk about like Einstein and Newton and all these geniuses. You know, they'd be struggling with a problem and then they'd go to sleep and they'd wake up in the middle of the night or the next morning and they would have the answer. There's a lot of stories about that, whether it's true or not. I don't know, but I've heard it a lot. And I find that myself that sometimes if I get stuck a little bit, I'll go to sleep at night and I'll wake up and boom, there's the answer on how to solve, whatever story problem it is. So I'm not saying
Tony Robbins talks about this.
Does he?
Yeah, he talks about like you just write and you start writing and then eventually, the ideas that come to you, you're going to start seeing them on the page, and it's like a visualization thing and all that. But it is a very real thing. Not everybody probably believes in it, but it's not really metaphysical so much as unlocking, the secrets of your own mind.
Right.
So, I guess that's metaphysical. I don't know.
Well, and like even Paul McCartney, I know this one is true because I think I heard him say it, but the song Yesterday, he said he woke up in the middle of the night and I think walked over to his piano and played just the main tune. It's something about, when your brain shuts down and it's doing its thing at night, if you wake up, you'll have an idea. And I can tell you right now, I wake up all the time. I keep my phone right next to the bed. And I have learned that if I wake up with an idea, even if it sounds cool or it sounds ridiculous, I just put it in my phone. And then the next day I'll look at it and go, oh, okay, I see what I was thinking there.
Yeah. And you're like, oh yeah, that would be great.
Yeah. A lot of my comic book characters have come from that. So it's, it's beneficial.
I always wonder if the ideas that I have that I thought were stolen, if someone just tapped into that same vein and they just got there before me.
Yeah.
I had this idea and I was like, oh yeah, it's like taking a mortgage out, but it's on your liver. They call them repo men. And then, they come out with a movie with Jude Law and Repo Man. I'm like,
yeah.
I just missed out on that.
Yeah.
They're coming to get your organ because you can't pay your mortgage on your liver.
I mean, it was a flop anyway, so
it was.
I didn't miss out. But
well, I would have done it better. So
yeah, yep.
I would have not cast Jude Law. So nothing wrong with him. It's just I would have gone a different direction, I believe.
Yeah, I think he was a little oversaturated at that point, a little bit.
Yeah, after AI and
he was in everything.
Existence. Yeah. Yeah, probably. I don't know. I'm a film nerd, so I'm like, yeah.
Yeah, what was that? The World of Tomorrow or whatever? What was that?
Yeah.
Captain something or other.
Oh, Sky Captain.
Sky Captain. Yeah.
What a stylish movie, though. That was really interesting. Mm-hmm. It was not long. So it was like maybe 88 minutes of film, and it's like, all right, just show us Angelina Jolie with an eye patch, and we're good.
I think I worked at a theater when that came out, actually.
Wow. Was that like 2006 or something?
Oh, maybe it was before that then. I think it was like 2004 when I worked there.
Okay, maybe it was around that time.
Yeah, something like that. I watched a lot of movies when
I was
there.
Definitely working at Blockbuster at that time. I'll tell you that much.
Yep.
So when that came out, man, yeah, I remember getting that DVD in a box of Cheerios because they were giving away movies.
Weird.
I don't know why I was eating Cheerios.
That's about where I'd want to watch that movie, I think.
Yeah, exactly.
$3 for a box of Cheerios and that movie, sure.
So the reason I brought up Hellscape is because that is a perfect segue into kind of the story that we were talking about. So we're talking about Ninja Turtles, the IDW series, number 9 and number 10. Mm-hmm. And a big portion of this has to deal with subconscious reincarnation. There's a psychotropic serum that they're trying to get out of Splinter, where they were administering this to the rat. Little did they know that he was the incarnation of this feudal ninja Hamato Yoshi from Japan years ago. And the crazy thing about this is, as the turtles mutate, they eventually remember, all of their fight training that they've had. They know their weapons training. They know how to do martial arts, and they can speak Japanese and things like that. And then there's like those other things that you can't really explain, like Donatello, who is really mechanically sound and knows how to do these things, and he's just basically like a genius. He just kind of gets everything. So it's kind of like a nice little dovetail there, where it's like, oh, this seems kind of similar.
Yeah, like you asked me to read 9 and 10. That's all I read, even though I have 1 through 12. I thought about like starting at the beginning, but I was like, man, I don't know if I'm gonna have time to get through all of it. Yeah, it was what I liked about this is it, you know, you always heard that the first movie was kind of more like the comics, you know, than the show.
Yep.
It was kind of a little bit like the show, but more like the comics. And as I'm reading this, I'm picking up on that, like with the antique store and all that. And I'm like, okay, I was like, that's pretty cool to read this version now. And what Baxter Stockman was a black guy in the comics.
Yep.
And that was one of the only, I don't like, what's his name? Tyler Perry, but it was one of the few endearing qualities about the Michael Bay versions was that they, you know, were brave enough to put him back to a black guy.
But man, I absolutely agree. That second movie, Bebop and Rocksteady make that movie. I will watch that thing just for Bebop and Rocksteady because they are hilarious. There's this one scene where after they mutate, they open their pants to look down to see what happened and then give each other a high five. I die laughing every time.
I may need to watch it again. I know what the opening.
It's okay. It's somewhere for free.
Yeah,
I'm sure.
I have it. I bought it.
Yeah.
But what the opening scenes with the turtle van, it's got the nunchucks arms and whatever. And I almost was cashed out after that. I was like, okay, you're getting a little ridiculous. I understand.
Yeah,
it's, you know, it's
there's so much ridiculousness in it. And, you know, the guy that plays Vernon, right, does the voice of Batman, Will Arnett. So he does the voice of Lego Batman.
Oh,
and
that's right.
He cannot turn off the Lego Batman voice in these movies. He's like, hey, April, I am the night. Dead parents. It's like, what?
I forgot he was in that. I was excited to see what's his name as Casey Jones.
Arrow, right?
Yeah, Stephen Amell.
Yep.
Because I do like him. I think he's pretty cool. And I don't remember if he was good or not, but yeah, that movie was just kind of a mess.
Yeah, I mean, it's not the movie that we wanted, but it's like it could have been worse. So, and it started out like, if it was like Sonic the Hedgehog, you know, I wonder if people would have been like, oh, change what they look like, change. Now it's probably possible to do that, but it started out with a major strike against it because everyone was so against what they look like.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't like how they look.
It's definitely not my favorite, but I like the second one a little bit more than the first just because of Bebop and Rocksteady. I think they're hilarious.
I might go the other way.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the first one probably because I thought it was going to be just awful. And then I was like, oh, you know, it wasn't that bad. And then, of course, the second one, and I was like, okay, if it's at least as good as the first one, I won't be too mad. And then it just wasn't for me.
And keep in mind, these are not movies that I watch often.
Yeah, I've seen them each. I've seen them once each, maybe. I maybe have seen parts of the first one a couple times, like on TV or something. But yeah, I love the first three movies, and you know, I don't care what anybody says. I even like the third one.
I actually just this week got the catapult from the third one with Wit, who is the guy that looks like Casey Jones, and his action figure actually turns into Casey Jones. So I'm pretty excited about having that.
That's cool.
Yeah. Are you a big collector for the Turtles?
I don't know if I would say compared to most people, yes.
Okay.
Compared to
you have like more than 5.
Oh yeah, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4. I've got a bookshelf with 5 shelves full of figures. I've got the sewer play set, the Casey Jones mask, bunch of the NECA.
Nice.
I've got a bunch of the pops. I'm getting ready to move hopefully pretty soon, but even off to the side, I've got stuff stacking up on the side, NECA stuff that I don't have anywhere to display it. So yeah, I mean, yeah.
So you're going after all the NECA stuff. Are you able to find it where you are?
Well, I get to drive around for my job.
Oh, that's true. Yeah.
So yeah, I don't have a lot of the NECA stuff. I mostly have the original figures and that kind of stuff. I think I dropped like $400 a couple years ago and just bought like all the stuff I had as a kid. I got the van and all the good figures, a bunch of the vehicles. The sewer playset was like my jam.
Yeah, I love that. That little recovery room that it had with like the bed and all that, and the manhole that comes up, and the elevator.
Yep.
I was a big fan too of not the swing that goes across the power lines and all that, but like the alleyway that was behind it. I'm like, this is so awesome.
Yeah, I've got the original 10. turtles
Oh, very cool.
on that playset, except for Donnie. Donnie's driving the van, which is on the next shelf under. But yeah, the original 10 are on that playset. So I've got up top, I've got Shredder is trying to get April, and Raph is protecting her, and then Bebop, Rocksteady, and the Foot are coming up the steps, and then down below is Splinter, Mikey, and Leo.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
I went and started collecting the Universal Monster figures because those are some of the rarer ones. So now I have like the Wolfman Leo, the Creature of the Black Lagoon Leo.
Oh, those. Okay. I got you.
Yeah, like Dracula Donatello, Mummy Raph, I think.
Mm-hmm.
The Invisible Man Mikey, who was like really hard to find. And who's the Bride of Frankenstein April.
That's right. Yep, I remember.
So I'm missing one, which is like the mutant alien Raphael.
Okay.
Oh, and Frankenstein Mikey. I can't forget him.
Yeah, they made so many. But when I was into the collecting those things, and I still will. If I see them at a con, I might get them. But yeah, I watched so many YouTube videos of people showing off their Turtles collection. It was just, some of it's insane how much stuff they made.
We've got our group Epic Shells in Facebook, and there's a ton of people who are like really super collectors, and like to the point where it's like some of them will have like, they call them army builders, so they'll have like 40 different Muckman and Joe Eyeball, and it's like, oh, okay, or like Mutagen Man, and I'm like, oh, that's a choice.
That's probably my favorite figure is Mutagen Man. I always loved that one. I've got a pretty good.
Then you will be happy that they just released a image of a 2-pack with Ace Duck and Mutagen Man today. NECA just released those out.
I saw that. I don't have any of the Toon NECA ones. Well, I take that back. I have, because I bought that new NECA box that Walmart had, where it's got the shirt and the hat and keychain.
Oh, and the shredder.
Yeah, so I have that shredder, but I don't have any of the other Toon NECAs. I like the movie NECAs.
I went out and like when the stimulus came and all that, I ended up buying an April, and I spent like $90 on it, but I really wanted it, so I got the April. It's the cartoon one.
Is it a NECA one?
It is, yeah. So it's NECA April with a foot soldier that has like a hole in his stomach.
I'm not sure if I don't think I've seen that one. That's kind of weird.
It's maybe like 2 years old, I think.
Oh, okay. That's weird. I haven't seen that one. The only carded original figure I have is an April, and I found it at an antique store for like $25. So I was like, yeah, I'll take that.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's in pretty decent shape. It's a little bit chewed up, but I was like, yeah.
The Splinter's awesome. If you can get a hold of the Splinter, I highly recommend it because he looks just like he did in the cartoon.
You know what? I'm kicking myself because I was at a Target and they had that was because it comes with Baxter, right?
Yeah.
And it was sitting on the counter there. I don't know if like somebody set it there and they went to get something else or something. And I picked it up and I looked at it and I was like, not right now. But yeah,
there's worse things to spend $50 on. Yeah, I'll be honest. So it's like,
well, and I kind of learned too, because they're kind of hard to find that stuff. So now if I see it, I buy it. I just get it.
I didn't get into the movie figures just because you get into these traps and it's like, I can't collect everything. I don't have room for everything.
Right.
So I try to stay in my lane and I'm like, all right, I really want these and I'm getting a couple of these. I'm only collecting the villains, so, it's just one of those things. Like with Funkos, I have like one Funko of Leonardo signed by Kevin Eastman. And I have like one Donnie that I found in box. So it's like, okay, I'm good.
Yeah, I have all of not the original Funkos they did, but this new, I guess they're the movie ones, I guess.
Yeah, the movies, yep.
Yeah, so, but it's got Metalhead, and it should be getting delivered any day now from Entertainment Earth, is that the 6-inch Krang inside his droid.
Oh, yeah, that's a cool one.
Yeah, I've been watching the shipping. It's in Indiana right now. It's like, come on.
You're almost there.
Yeah, but I got that whole set because I do have some Funko Pops, but I don't have any full sets. But I was like, I'll get the Turtle full set. So I have all of that set, just waiting on Krang, and that's it.
I don't know that I have a Funko problem yet, but I just looking around. I remember I'm like, I have 27, and now I've like doubled that, and I'm like, I started out with 2, and I had the Dude and Walter from Big Lebowski, and I'm like, this is fine. I'll just have these 2, and now it's like Baby Yoda, Mandalorian holding Baby Yoda, Stranger Things, Jeff
buddy-
Goldblum. I'm like,
my
oh,
buddy,
I've got a problem.
My one buddy calls them cockroaches. And I
Yeah.
was like, yeah, that's about what they are. I think the first one I got was probably I think it's a 10-inch Wicket from Star Wars.
Oh, very cool.
And because my buddy had a picture of it that he posted in this group, and I was like, oh, I gotta have that. So I bought that, and then I just kind of, I don't know, man, I might have like 30 of them or something like that. I don't have that many.
Do you think that Wicket and the rest of the Ewoks ate the stormtroopers?
Oh boy, they may have. They played. What did they play? Bongos on their.
Yeah, they're
helmet.
playing bongos with the helmets and all that, and it's like there's probably a head in there.
Yeah, they might have. I mean,
Yeah,
well, because they were going to barbecue the other guys, right? So
Yeah, they were gonna eat them, so it it tracks that they would.
Yep. They all tasted the same because they were clones.
I figured
at that
they would
point.
have been foragers because of the teeth that they had, but who knows?
Yeah,
that's interesting. I don't know.
and have you ever seen the Ewok movies?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
So they didn't try to eat them, which is kind of weird.
I'm a big Wilford Brimley fan.
Oh
so-
yes. Yep. Caravan.
I love these Ewoks.
Not Caravan. That's a Battle for Endor. Yep.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Crash.
Yep. I love that one. I love both those. Actually, my kid and I, we do Friday night movies, and it's always a new movie he's never seen. And
Oh, great.
I want to say that was one of the first ones we did was those two movies, and he loved them.
So, are you getting him into stuff that you were into when you were a kid, like like Goonies or maybe I don't know, Flight of the Navigator, stuff like that?
Yep, we've watched all that.
Oh, that's awesome.
Even
And Goonies is difficult to watch with a kid too, because you're like, oh crap, they do say that a lot.
Yeah. He liked. I think he liked that one all right. He really loved Hook, which I was really happy.
Oh,
about.
awesome.
But even before I had a kid, I would always buy all the 80s cartoons and stuff. So he has in his room a shelf of it's pretty much Thundercats and Batman and Turtles and Defenders of the Earth was a new one I got. Super Friends.
Wow.
Snorks and Conan the Adventurer, who really likes He-Man. I mean,
I love all of those shows. Thank you for mentioning Snorks, because it is not just like the redheaded stepchild of Smurfs. It is a good show on its own, and I loved it.
I want to say I like it better than Smurfs, honestly.
I'm with you. I mean, and I don't know if it went longer or anything like that, but that was a good show.
I think I have the full series, but we've opened it up a couple times.
I do have the full series for Conan the Adventurer, and I think that is got to be on par for one of the greatest theme songs for any cartoon.
My kid sings it and stuff. So
Warrior without fear.
Yep, that was a good show, and I don't think it gets the credit it deserves.
It doesn't, probably because of the style of animation and all. It's like it was made from, I think, Saban again. So they're like, oh yeah, it's not as refined as others. I'm like, it's the same animation as X-Men, dude.
Yeah.
I'm like, it's a good show.
We're almost through it. I think we've got we're on like, what is it, season? Because they only did a couple seasons, like season 2, volume 2, or something like that. I forget where we're at exactly. But
I still quote that sometimes. Like if I'm spinning a broom around, I'll go Voluminosi like Grey Wolf, which is so lame, but I don't care.
Yeah, I've been trying to get him into Pirates of Darkwater. He didn't really care for that one that much, so
that's such a shame to hear, because that was the next thing I was going to bring up.
Yeah, maybe when he's a
I
little bit
love
older.
that. And the thing too that you don't realize about that is, like, you're like, oh, the guy that's doing the main character does the voice of Superman, and the girl that does the woman that does the voice of the princess, that's the Little Mermaid.
Oh, is it really? I didn't know.
And you've got Tim Curry in there. There's some world-class voice acting in that.
I think
I'm just a huge fan.
I have all those figures, all the Pirates of Darkwater. I'm missing the boat. The
Wraith.
The Wraith, yeah. That's the only thing I'm missing, because on eBay it's like $125, and I don't want to pay that. I'm more in it for like $75.
Yeah.
But that's the only thing I'm missing. I'll have a complete set of that, so I'll get that.
That is
at some point.
absolutely on my list. That is on my to-do list. I have a couple Exo Squads, like E-frames and stuff like that. But the Wraith and Ayaz and maybe like a Bucky O'Hare here and there or something like that. But those Pirates of Darkwater are on my list to get.
Yeah, and the figures, they look pretty good for the most part. It's kind of sad they didn't make the girl.
No, Tula, they never made her.
Well, and what's funny too, the Conan the Adventurer line, which there was only a handful of toys for that, they didn't make that girl either.
Yeah, Jasmine.
Yeah, they didn't. I was like, what's up with that? Like, geez.
I guess they figured that it wasn't popular, to make the female character, and I get it, but the Conan figures were like kind of big and clunky too.
Yeah. Well, yeah, but with the Pirates of Darkwater, I mean, they made like all the pirates. Like,
oh yeah.
And it's like, how are you not going to make her? She's like one of the main characters. You
have like Clonk and Mantis and Niddler, and then it's like, okay, well, what about the other main character?
Yeah. Oh, that Niddler.
And a Barbera thing too. So it's like, I don't know why they wouldn't.
Yeah, that Niddler figure is really cool. I really like that one.
Yeah, that's it reminds me very much of like a She-Ra figure or something.
Yeah, like because she had those like little bear things with the moth ears or whatever.
What was his name? Cowl?
I can't remember.
I think I want to say he was the one that hung out with the archer, but yeah.
Yeah, that guy, the one guy or whatever.
So what is so you said you have a son.
I do.
What does your son think about turtles?
He loves the toys.
Oh, this is stuff that dad has,
Yeah. No, he
tells
loves
me not to touch it.
So when I started buying all the figures, I would just buy lots off eBay. I would type in Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle lot, and when I got doubles or ones that I didn't particularly want, I gave to him. So he has, a huge stack of them. He loves them. And then I want to say for Christmas when he turned like 3, I got him Raphael #1. I think it's an 8.5 CGC signed and remarked by Eastman. So that's like one of his.
Oh wow!
Yeah, he's got it on his wall in there, which he understands a little more now what it is, but he doesn't fully understand. But
that's a gift that's gonna like mean more down the road. You're like, I've always had this.
Mm-hmm. I might steal it because I want one. But he loves the figures and stuff, and I've just been bombarding him with all this 80s and 90s nostalgia. We watched a little bit of Turtles, and he's seen the movies like once each, I think, but we'll get back into that here pretty soon.
That's cool. It's exciting to kind of have a little co-pilot there who's interested in this stuff.
Oh yeah.
I tried to get my kids to watch. I think I got them to watch Ghostbusters and Back to the Future, and then anything else I suggested, they're like most of the time not interested.
Oh yeah, see, I'm starting him young, and my whole house looks like a comic book store anyway.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I'm not married, so it's like my own house. I do what I want. It's toys and comics. The whole living room is 80s and 90s and comics, and I even have Teddy Ruxpin and Grubby was the new thing.
Oh wow,
sitting over there. It's just it's fun.
so do you do the right thing and you throw a Metallica tape in there and you watch him? He's singing like Welcome Home Sanitarium or something.
Yeah, actually, I forgot today. I wanted to get some batteries from my work because I bought this. I bought it like, I don't know, 3 weeks ago, and I just keep forgetting to grab batteries to see if it actually works. I figure it probably does. It looks like it's in good condition, but yeah, I need to do that.
That would be so much fun.
Yeah,
just to see him singing like Crazy Train by Ozzy or something.
Yep, I think I've got. I'm trying to think. I don't have very many tapes anymore. I think I've got.
I have 0. So
was it Paula Cole? Who did that?
Yeah,
that bitch. I'm a bitch. I'm a lover.
Oh, that was
what is her name? I've got that around.
Marissa Brooks or something, or
Meredith Brooks.
Meredith Brooks. Yeah.
Yep. I've got that single somewhere. Man, I might have like another tape around here. I might have like a mixtape. I bet that I made for a girl, and she gave it back when I broke up with her or something.
I remember my first cassette tape too, and I want to say it was Poison because I remember listening to Every Rose Has Its Thorn and like all of that.
Oh, I had the Turtles 2 on tape.
Soundtrack. Nice.
Oh, it was such a good soundtrack tue.
I did have the first one with like TURTLE
Yep.
Power by Partners in Crime.
Yep. I think
it's a classic.
CNC Music Factory was on there somewhere too. I think,
yes,
right?
Spin That Wheel, right?
Yep.
Was doing that one.
And of course, Vanilla Ice.
This Is What We Do by MC Hammer.
Mm-hmm.
That's the first one. The second one, so definitely Vanilla Ice. I think he had 2 Vanilla Ice songs.
It might have. I remember. I wore that thing out. I know that for sure. I remember I got dropped off at some random babysitter, and I brought that with me. That was the only thing. And I sat there for 2 or 3 hours and just kept going.
You're like, got to pop it out so I can rewind it to hear the song again.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I remember those days. And that's fun getting to kind of relive that. I just saw they re-released that on vinyl.
Yeah, I saw that too, and I don't have a record player, but that's what got me thinking. I was like, shit, that was like a really good, at least back in the day, it was a cool soundtrack.
I have a collection of soundtracks on CD. I know South Park the movie was one of my favorites, but
That was a good
I
one.
definitely have Batman Returns. I have Ghostbusters 2, I think, and Kingpin, because that was a fun one.
Yeah. Daredevil soundtrack was
Yes.
surprisingly
Oh,
good.
yeah. You know what? I have that. That was a huge one in my life. I remember that with like Rob Zombie's on it, Evanescence is on it. I think Soil was on it, and I'm like, wow, Soil?
Yeah. Man, there's like one song on there that was really, really good, and I can't remember what it is. I will pop it on and play the drums to it sometimes because the drums are really fun to play. I can't remember which song it is. Something about rain or something. I forget. I'd have to look it up.
Yeah, I wish I had that in front of me. Actually, that's a really good one. But there was so much good on that, and I always thought, the movie was like, if you watch the director's cut, it's okay. It's not like anything like the Daredevil Netflix series, which is actually on the TV right now.
Oh,
Watch
yeah.
it. So it's nothing like that. So it's kind of like corny in those sense, but that soundtrack was just a banger, man. It was so good.
I'm not going to say I really like that movie, but I actually didn't mind it.
If you watch the director's cut, it's actually pretty good. It's cohesive. There's more parts to it that were cut out, and it's not as silly. So it doesn't hold up after you've seen other stuff, but it's not like, I liked it better than the first Spider-Man movie. I liked the second Spider-Man movie a lot, so
Yeah.
I wouldn't make that claim. Just
we were
I liked it better
watching
than the first Spider-Man.
We were watching Spider-Man 3 tonight. Was the movie? 'Cause I think I said we do a movie every Friday night. Yeah, and so we did Spider-Man 1, 2, and 3. Next week will be Amazing Spider-Man 1.
It's weird on how they kind of zig and zag and go up and down. I'm a big fan of Spider-Man 2 with I think it's a mistake that they ended up killing off Doc Ock. But past that, like that's probably my favorite Spider-Man movie, including the new ones with Tom Holland, which are really good. It's just I felt like that was such a good version of Peter and Mary Jane and all that. I really liked it.
Yeah, I mean, I think the second one, I always thought that was the best one. I really do like the first one. I don't know. These ones with Tom Holland are just really, really good.
They are. They're really good, but you obviously have a better Spider-Man because he can even do the moves himself and all that. So
Right.
it's just
Yeah.
I felt like that movie is just, you've got the really good actor bad guy, and everything kind of fits really nicely. And the scene on the train where they're kind of handing him back and he saved everybody.
Yeah.
I thought that was a really nice moment.
Yeah. It's
Like, that's Spider-Man. That's them showing him gratitude for saving their life.
yeah, it's cool because I haven't really watched those for a while, and I think they do hold up pretty good. Even the CG or the computer and all that, the graphics, it's not bad. Obviously we have better
Yeah, I'm
now,
with you.
but still, it's like, yeah, this is actually pretty good. I actually would have liked to see one more Andrew Garfield because I thought those were fine too. I didn't have a problem with that. A lot of people didn't like them.
I liked Dennis Leary a lot, and I liked that they went with some unconventional villains. They're like, oh, well, we've got Electro in this one, and the Rhino's at the end, and the Lizard. I'm a huge fan of the Lizard as a character.
Yep.
And I thought that they did that really well.
Yeah.
Garfield, to me, was too aggressive as Peter.
Yep.
I thought that, like, he had the quips as Spider-Man perfectly, and, he looks like Peter, but it's just like, this guy's a little too aggressive for my taste.
Yep. See, I think Toby
I don't hate it.
Toby
but,
was a good Toby was a good Peter.
Mhm.
Andrew Garfield was a good Spider-Man, and then Tom Holland just does great
He
with
does both. Yeah.
And I love Gwen Stacy too more than
Yeah.
Mary. So I was happy to see, and she was in Spider-Man 3, but it was like,
Yeah, Bryce Dallas Howard did great.
yeah. I mean, yeah, sure, but
Well, I mean, think about what she had to do. So it's not like they gave her much to do. But,
right.
she did it well, and she's there, and she had a presence, and she's not scenery. She's
Yep.
someone who's like, oh yeah, this is someone who's in the movie.
Yep.
So, have you guys gotten into the Spider-Verse? I know we're talking more about Spider-Man than Turtles, but that's just how it goes sometimes.
Yeah.
So, have you seen Into the Spider-Verse with him yet?
Yeah. So the very first movie I took him to in theaters was Spider-Verse.
Oh, that's awesome.
It scared the crap out of him.
Wow.
I'm trying to remember how old he was. He was like, I don't think he was quite 4 yet. But yeah,
that's the age where you have that sort of attention span building to that point, and some kids are ready, some are not. Yeah, I remember my kids was Kung Fu Panda, and we couldn't hang. We had to leave about 20 minutes in.
Yeah, he spent most of it in my chest.
Yeah,
but he got scared at when the spider bites him. So that scared him, and actually, I couldn't get him up until I want to say just like a couple weeks ago. He would never watch it, and then I think it was on TV or something, and he sat down and watched it, and now he loves it. Now he talks about it all the time.
That's great.
Yeah. And like, so
that's such a kid relatable one too.
Yep. So they gave out free posters as they do sometimes. So I actually, in my living room, I have that poster framed, and in his bedroom, I have it framed, and the ticket stubs are inside the poster.
Oh, that's so cool.
Yep.
That's really good. So, with this, I guess, we're kind of talking about the book. We're kind of talking about other things and all that. What did you think about some of the characters that you may have never seen before, like Old Hob? He looks kind of like a pirate with an eye patch, as a mutated cat and all that. What's your perspective on this guy?
Yeah, because he was, I'm sure, I know I've heard of him. I've seen him before, but not very much. So I thought that was kind of neat. I was, like I said before, it's kind of cool reading this because it's kind of a blend of the movie and the show. But I like that Karai was in it too. And because she's in some of the other, I can't remember if she's in the Turtles Power Rangers thing, but she's definitely in the, what was it, like the 2000s Turtles cartoon show.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you're into reading The Last Ronin, she plays a significant part in that.
Yeah, I've been reading that. Yep.
Okay, good.
Yep. Oh yeah,
you know where I'm going.
That. Yeah. When I heard about that, I was like, yep, I'm in for that. So that was cool seeing, and I like that the art is different. It's not this like polished. Because in my books, I think the art is pretty new age, new wave. It's all computer digital and all that, and this kind of looked like that, but at the same time, you could like the way they colored it and stuff kind of looked like paint a little bit. Mm-hmm. It was slightly minimalistic at times and stuff like that, and I thought the art was really cool.
Yeah, I think Dan Duncan is the artist for this one, so he does, I think, 1 through 12 at least. So if you're reading this in chronology, there's other books that come in between. Like there's a mini series in the mini series for Raph and Michelangelo, and then Donatello, and then Leonardo. And the Leonardo one is the first one right before this book kicks up. And it's basically Leo fights a whole bunch of foot ninjas. So that's the first time he ends up fighting them. But the significant thing about these books that I had you read was this is the first time in this series we get to see Shredder in costume, and the first time we get to see Karai. So, and at this point, this is a year into this, because we're just about at, when they've hit a year, and it's like, wow, you've got the main villain that you haven't even got to in the first year of this book being out. That's so significant.
So are these like straight up, like, not obviously not reprints, but reimagining of the original books, or are they kind of a reboot kind of say?
I guess you would say reboot. So it would be like a revamp, I would say, right? Where they're taking the whole prospect of what it is, boiling it down to who the characters really are, and kind of using that to fill in the blanks. But they're saying, okay, instead of it being, this rat is in the sewer and he finds these turtles and, then he raises them for 15 years. This is like all of that happened before, and we're just going to kind of fast forward to that. And and we're just going to let the turtles flesh out who they are. Like Donatello likes machines, so we're going to go into that venue, and Mikey likes to read comic books and cook and stuff. So, and, ride skateboard. So we're going to go into that one.
Okay.
And,
yeah. Yeah. Cause I guess, I've heard a bunch of times that in the original books, they didn't really have personality so much. when they made the cartoon and stuff, because they kind of invented that for the cartoon. So,
They changed big time. So when you get towards the late 80s, there's a lot of really metaphysical things. That there's this really great story. It's called Soul's Winter, and it's kind of like a fever dream that Michelangelo has, where they're all these traveling like samurai, and they all have like the same weapon, and they look like these ultra detailed like snapping turtles. It's really interesting. And then it gets into like the Shredder controls like the spirit of death, who is a crow, and it's like, what the heck is going on? It's just like this big acid trip. It's just it's so nuts. And like the Mirage stuff was just crazy. It was so innovative. It was just out of this world. Like what is happening? And I remember reading this in like 1991, and I'm like 10 years old, and I'm like, I don't know what this is, but I love it.
Yeah, it's well, the thing for me specifically about Turtles that I love, and I was just telling somebody this the other day, is that the Turtles are the standard for independent comics, as far as I'm concerned, because they're proof that you can do it. You can just make up something out of nowhere, two guys, and now it's $1 billion franchise. So it's proof that it can be done. So for me, that's the standard. That's the mold to build your franchise around. That's how to do it. So that means there's hope, for us.
You're absolutely right.
Guys.
Because before this, it's not like it's the first independent comic, but it's the first one to prove the concept of this could be huge.
Yep.
So I'm absolutely with you, because there's others that have kind of followed and come close. Like the Tick got pretty big, and that's still something that's around. Yeah. And we were lucky enough on this show to have Mr. Townsend Coleman, the voice of the Tick, also the voice of Michelangelo. He was great. So that was fun.
So yeah, actually, Pedo Man is very the Tick.
I figured it had to be close because of the tongue-in-cheek humor.
He maybe even says spoon once. I can't remember if I put that in there or not yet. I knew I had wanted to, because he'll, when he goes into battle, he always says something ridiculous.
I admit I'm really excited to read that. I was looking at your website, and you have this. I think it's like $40 for the USB drive, where you get like all the books and all the comics. And I'm like, yeah, I'm totally doing that, because I want to read that, and I want to read Stingray, and I want to see what's going on with the Ginger Avenger. And then it looks like in the Ginger Avenger, they all team up.
So yeah, actually, the book that we're working on right now is Turkey Sharks #1, and that's going to be on Kickstarter probably in a couple months or so. And this is where they're all together finally. It's kind of the culmination. It's my end game, basically, of all these 9 books. Now this will be number 10. So
you're going to do the Quentin Tarantino thing, huh? Once you hit 10, you're done?
I don't think so. I think I'm going to keep going. We'll see. We'll see. I have another comic that I'm going to do with my Teen Titans style characters that I've created in these books as well. That comes after that, so that'll be later this year.
Oh, that's great.
Mm-hmm. Something for kids.
What do you like to read for comics now? Because we talked a little bit about how you were into like Spider-Man, X-Men, and you couldn't really get a hold of the Turtles. What are you into now?
I do. So yeah, I do like miniseries right now, the last couple years. So I did Mr. and Mrs. X, and then I did Power Rangers and Turtles. I did Absolute Carnage. Now I'm doing Last Ronin, and I try to stick with just one at a time pretty much, because I'm just, I should read more comics. I'm not going to lie. I really should. And I do read indie comics when I get them from people I meet and all that. I always check those out. But yeah, I don't have the time to sit down and just read like I'd like to, because, I work a day job. I come home, I do my comic book stuff. I work out literally every day, and that usually takes me 2 hours. I send emails. I do podcasts like I'm doing now. I mean, it's just every day is, from, I get up at 5:45, sometimes 5, and until, 8 at night, I'm full throttle. So it's finding time to sit down and read and all that. It's hard. So, but I definitely, a couple years ago when Mr. and Mrs. X came out, I was like, all right, so I'm going to read this. When this is over, I'm going to pick the next miniseries that I'm interested in and do that and keep going that way. So I'm always at least reading something I think is important.
I agree. That was one of I think that was one of the tenets of Stephen King. He said that if you wanted to be a writer, you have to be a reader.
Yes. Yep. He has said that. He's I've read a few of his books. I can't say that I've read a bunch of, but I've seen a lot of the movies too. Definitely a big influence because, for me, and people actually always tell me, because I've been doing this 6 years. I'm on comic book number 10. I've published the comic book for the other guy. Hellscape is book for real book number 7, and that's in 6 years. So that's the thing
that's a lot.
Yeah, that's the thing about Stephen King. He's pumped out so many books and stuff, and people, I've got people, they're like, how do you do that? Or one guy who's like, dude, you're a machine. I'm like, I'm always working, dude. Like, I'm always thinking, I'm always working.
Well, there's another saying, when you're green, you grow, when you're ripe, you rot. So you always gotta keep moving, and always gotta keep learning, and always gotta keep working, because if not, then you'll just waste away. And then, at least that's my take on it.
Well, yeah, and I've definitely gotten better as a writer. Like, I think all the stuff I've done is good, but I can definitely tell you that Stingray number 1, and then you read Ginger Avenger number 3, you're gonna see the difference. Like, you're gonna see how much better, and not just myself as a writer, but my artist who I've worked with, Cristiano Reyna. He's done all the books, and he and I have grown together as well. Like, we're pretty on point with each other. And the storytelling, the art, the writing, it's all gotten better as we've done that.
That's awesome that you could evolve like that, and and pretty soon you'll be like Tim Sale and was it Jeff Loeb? Did the Batman the Long Halloween. You'll be able to kind of like just predict what the other person wants based on like how you write it. Like, scene, dark alley, blood goes down. It's, I know what he's looking for.
Yep. Well, and with reading comic books, we've changed it a little bit, because for a long time I didn't read comic books. Like, when I started liking girls, and then I started like hanging out with my buddies and drinking and all that stuff, I fell off of comics for a long time. And when I started writing them again, I was going to a couple cons. And, I'd be talking to other vendors, and they'd be like, oh, this artist and this writer. And I was like, I don't even know who these people are. So that's when I started collecting again. And I bought an X-Men 266 was the first book I bought as an adult.
First appearance of Gambit, huh?
Yep. It's a 9.4 sitting on my shelf right now.
What'd that cost you? About $250?
Yeah, it was $130 with shipping.
No kidding. That's not bad at all.
Well, I'm a bargain shopper too.
Good for you.
But since then, I bet you I have $10,000 worth of comics sitting in my living room, I bet.
Wow.
And I've learned a lot about the industry. And then when you read them, you see the tricks of the trade. You see, how like Alan Moore, I think it's Alan Moore. I totally stole one of his ideas in,
well, you're in good company, because most people have, so don't feel bad.
What I think it's in Ginger Avenger 3. Last panel on one page is a cell phone, and then the first panel on the next page is the cell phone from the other person.
Oh,
like stuff like that. So you learn stuff like that by reading other comics. In Turtles and Power Rangers, if somebody is speaking off panel, they put a little initial next to which character is saying it.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah, so now we do that. So
Turtles is good too, because they'll color code things.
That's what we do. We color
which
code
is perfect.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, it's like, wow, thank you for taking it easy on the reader.
Yep. Well, and
otherwise we have to guess.
I noticed in these two books that you had me read is they will carry over the dialogue to the next page, to the next scene. So now, now my wheels are turning like, all right, because we're still, as he sketches the book that we're working on now, I will do rewrites and bulk up the dialogue and stuff like that. So now I'm like, all right, I'm going to throw one of those in there somewhere. So yeah, you read books and you see how the good, the greats, how do they do it? How do they write? How do they set up things? And you learn and you emulate that and you throw your own spin on it.
And this is written by Tom Waltz, who is, he's heavily influenced by the 2003 Ninja Turtles cartoon, which I know if you're a turtle collector, you probably have some of those toys then.
Is that the CGI kind of one, the 3D?
This is before that. So this is the one where it's the first series that they did right after the original 80s cartoon.
Okay, I know I've seen it. I'm not sure if I don't think I have any of those actually.
Oh, okay.
You know what?
Usually you get like one or two. Yeah.
My kid, I made a game to the kid. Is that the one with iPop and Leo? Is that one of those?
No, it's after that. Yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, that's a great figure too.
Yep. Yeah, I gave that. I do like that when I gave it to him though.
I was going through a phase where I was like, oh, I'm gonna collect every Leonardo, and I'm like, no, I'm just not gonna.
It's insane. It really is insane, and good for them that they did that and they capitalized on that. And I get it. If it's a Raphael figure, I keep it like that because that's my guy. But some of the other ones I gave to him in doubles, and like he definitely wants a Krang. And it's like, nah, he wants a hothead. I think the most right now.
Oh wow, good luck. I mean, that's an expensive figure.
I've got one. I think I bought it for like $8.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, there's an antique store here in town. It's like the biggest one in Ohio. And I'll go out there about every 6 weeks and just see what they've got. I found, you remember Brave Star?
Yeah, of course.
I found a Brave Star figure out there, and that's like a $50 figure. I think it's like $100 if you have the hat and gun. I think. Don't quote me. I think I bought it for like $10, and the way it sits, it's definitely a $50 figure. And I was like, "Yep, that's mine." I got a Dick Tracy out there. I got a mask. What else did I get out there? I got a bunch of stuff out there.
Mask is in like Matt Tracker mask?
Yeah, the little ones.
That's so cool.
Yeah, that was like $6. So yeah, you can find some deals at places like that. I'm trying to remember what else I found out there. Oh, that's where I got the Teddy Ruxpin and the Grubby. $60 for both of them.
That's a deal.
I know. I looked it up on eBay while I was standing there, and I was like, Grubby alone goes for like $80. So I was like, yeah, I'm grabbing this.
That's so cool. I mean, like I said, I've been going after a couple. I just got the old 12-inch Ninja Turtles, and I'm looking at a way to make their belts because none of them seem to have belts when you buy them.
Yeah.
So I have a Raph with belt, I've got a Mike with belt, and a Donnie with belt. So I actually got some material. I'm gonna try to make some like aftermarket belts because I just bought the 4-pack of them. $150, which was a hell of a deal.
Yeah, man.
For like all 4.
People don't realize how much toys are. I got into the He-Man, the Master of the Universe line recently.
Oh wow! Like the one that they have at like Target and Walmart now.
Well, no, I'm talking the original ones.
Oh, okay.
And yeah, so it was like $150 for a He-Man on a Battle Cat, like complete, I think is what I paid. So I have a lot of that. I got Castle Grayskull and Snake Mountain sitting here too.
Snake Mountain was such a great set. Yeah, absolutely.
I can't remember what I paid for that.
I like how it has that other head that you can pull off, and it's a microphone to make the maniacal Skeletor laugh.
Yep.
It was just like it's a spring in there.
Yeah, I was actually going through some old photos, putting them in like a photo album recently, and there's a picture of me when I was my son's age. I was like 5 or 6, and we lived in Germany at the time. And I think it was a Christmas actually, and in the background was Snake Mountain. So I was like, hell yeah! I thought I had that thing when I was little.
That's so cool. I remember having that in the slime pit, and the big thing was you couldn't put Moss Man in the slime pit.
Yep. I got to get the slime pit. I'm out of room. That's why I'm getting ready to move. But that's on my list of things. Thundercats is next on my list to start getting all those. I have a few of them already.
You're not going to believe this, but all of these dovetail into each other again. The last guest that I had on the show was Freddie Williams II, and he is the one who did the Masters of the Universe crossover with Thundercats. He's also the guy that did the Batman Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles crossover. So, and he did Mask, as we were talking about, like Mask. It's Mask, G.I. Joe, and Transformers crossover. So he did all of those, like the art for those. So he's like the crossover king.
These comics, is that what we're talking about?
Yeah, all comics, okay. Yeah. All by pretty much the same company, all by IDW, who does Turtles.
Okay.
With the exception of like the Masters of the Universe Thundercats, that was DC.
Right, yeah.
That is a great book. If you're looking for another miniseries to read, I highly recommend that.
Yeah, I think I bought one of those from my kid. I've never read it though.
Yeah, you can get like the trade paperback for like $20, but there's some really awesome scenes, and there's another good one, which is if you've ever played like the Injustice video game. I don't know if you're into video games at all, but it's like Superman goes bad and Batman has to fight him, and there's like a whole Mortal Kombat style video game based on it.
Okay.
They did a crossover with Masters of the Universe as well, and there's a point where Mumra is like trying to do something, and Skeletor kind of outfox, or not Mumra. This one's Skeletor. Skeletor kind of outfoxes one of the bad guys, Darkseid, and ends up with some really interesting power set. It kind of blows your mind.
Interesting.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Yeah, crossovers are cool.
Yeah, no, I'm with you.
Always wanted to see, how those people match up. I mean, that's nerddom right there. Any comic book shop. Yeah, what would happen if, Spider-Man met up with Ernest,
I love this. It would be like Ernest goes to New York or something like that, and Spider-Man's there, and it's like, hey, you're shooting webs at me, Vern. I'm not Vern. Yeah.
What was it? Ernest goes to Slovakia or whatever it is. Where does
Sokovia.
Dr. Doom? Sokovia. There you go.
Latveria. Yeah.
Yeah, Latveria.
I like it because Dr. Doom would definitely not put up with Ernest stuff.
No.
Did you know he was a certified genius too? Jim Varney.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I was lucky enough last year to have an interview with Penelope Spheris, the director of Beverly Hillbillies, and he was in that.
Yep.
And she just talked about how he was this amazing classic trained Shakespearean actor.
Okay, yeah, I knew that. Yeah.
It's just so crazy. She's like, he's so smart. It was ridiculous. Like, you couldn't even believe just how smart this guy was.
Yeah. Yeah, I love Ernest is one of my things. I love Ernest. I've got it sitting in front of me actually by my TV is the talking doll, and it actually still talks and everything.
Oh, that's great. I was talking to a friend of ours, Mr. JB from Tales of the Podcast.
Yep.
And he is a big fan of another movie that we love, Ernest Scared Stupid.
Yep. He and I talked about that movie at length, I believe, not that long ago.
It is not only a great horror movie, a great movie.
Mm-hmm.
And it's to this day one of the movies that makes me laugh probably harder than any other film out there.
Oh, it's
when
really
he hugs the troll at the end, I just lose it. He's spitting milk at the thing, and I'm like, oh, I just
fresh Bulgarian Miak. Yep.
Mother's love.
Yeah, my kid loved that movie. I was surprised because that movie actually, like the troll, a little bit scared me when I was a kid.
It is dark too. Like,
but my kid,
it's a very dark
it.
film.
He loved it 100%. I was like happy about that.
Well, I mean, kids are smart. It's like when we had Goonies and stuff like that growing up. It's when we would gravitate towards those things that maybe we shouldn't have liked because it's like not the right thing as a kid. It can't all be like Care Bears,
right.
Even though I hold out that the first Care Bear movie really does have some dark points to it, but it's not all like that. And kids kind of feed upon that. And they're like, oh, this is some stuff that maybe is above my station, but I'm in.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Ernest does not get the credit he deserves in today's culture because people really don't remember about Ernest. That was a big thing for a while. Jim Varney's from Lexington, Kentucky.
Oh, okay.
And that's where like a lot of my family is from, right around there. And actually, I was hanging out with my cousin. I think we were 9 or 10, and I was over at one of his friend's house. And he was like, yeah, check out this yearbook. And I open it up, and there's Jim Varney in the yearbook. He went to school with that kid's mom.
Wow.
So I got to look at Jim Varney's, or at least a yearbook that he was in. He was class clown, and it was cool.
Yeah, he likes to dress up like the teacher. Does your mother know what you're doing?
Yep.
Like,
big neck brace and all that.
Yeah, that's amazing. I did watch maybe about, I think it was like the beginning of last year. I saw it was on there and it was free on Amazon, and I watched Ernest Goes to Africa. Not a great movie.
Yeah, I think pretty much after, let's see, was Scared Stupid the third or fourth?
That was the third because there was Ernest Goes to Camp, it was the fourth because there was Ernest Goes to Jail, and then Ernest Goes Saves Christmas.
Yep.
So that was the fourth movie. After that,
Camp, Jail, Christmas, whatever order. Yeah. After Scared Stupid, that's where they kind of went off a cliff. But I know I watched a couple of those after. I think I've seen Africa, and then there was one where he
Slam Dunk
Ernest, yeah, and he joins the army.
Goes to the army,
yep. I've watched all of them, but yeah, I don't think you can find too many of them on DVD anymore. I got like the little collector's edition of of those, the first 4.
I know Amazon has the like weird ones, like Slam Dunk, and I watched, like I said, Goes to Africa. I'm pretty sure you can find In the Army there. So
I have to get those. I remember, I think In the Army, I might have been like just getting old enough. I might have been like 13 or something, and I was like, all right, this ain't for me anymore. But now as an adult,
why am I watching this when I could be watching Tommy Boy?
Yeah, I could get Spice World and watch the Spice Girls movie.
You know, you're the second person in 2 days that have mentioned that movie. So
really?
maybe I need to watch it.
It was awful. It was really awful. I remember getting it because I was like, let's check this out. And yeah, it was even at 13 or 14 or whatever, I was like, this is a bad movie.
That's so funny. Yeah, I was definitely not a fan of the Spice Girls music back then. So I probably would have been like one of those, chain wallet jorts wearing metalhead Metallica t-shirt guys. That's like, I'm not listening to this. It's lame. Yeah.
Yeah. I had a weird phase where I did like NSYNC and shit like that. And then Twisted Metal 3 came out, and that I was been heavy metal ever since then, pretty much.
You're like, this is a Mr. Grimm house, and it always will be.
Yep. Yeah, because I would take the Twisted Metal 3 PlayStation disc and put it in my CD player because you could play the soundtrack.
Oh, that's so cool. I didn't know that.
Yeah, so it was like Rob Zombie and Pitch Shifter, who I saw at Ozfest 2000.
Wow. I was at that one, but I don't remember them. Maybe they didn't come to Connecticut where I was.
Yeah, this was Columbus. Yeah, it was.
I don't remember Pitch Shifter, but
actually, in You'd Be Surprised with a Vengeance, I actually have 3 true stories where I've changed people's names because I don't want them to go to jail for stuff.
Oh, that's good.
But that's one of the stories. It's actually just called, I think it's called The Story of Ozfest 2000. And like we rented a hotel that night and went down, and I talk about all the bands we saw, and I mean it was a blast. We had a lot of fun.
Oh, that's so cool. I am genuinely looking forward to reading those. And with that, I'm just going to kind of bring this to a little bit of a close. I know we didn't talk about this as much, but I mean, the significance around the book and everything that the Turtles have been in your life, that's like really the meat and potatoes of the show, because you're a fan of Turtles, and you're able to pass that down to your son. That's so huge.
Yeah, I mean, Turtles, I mean, it's just, I often think, because sometimes I do like top fives on my personal Facebook page. Sometimes I haven't done one for a while, but I've been thinking about like asking people like, what's your top 5 franchises? And unfortunately, I think people are going to say Star Wars or Marvel, but that's not, of course, that's not really the question I'm asking. I'm asking for specific brand, I guess. But man, when I look around my living room here, I mean, there's Turtles, there's He-Man, there's X-Men, there's Spider-Man, and it would be really hard for me to put Turtles number 2 or 3 or 4 or 5. I mean, they've got to be one of the most important franchises of my life.
That's huge, man.
Well, because they've been around. I was 8 or 7 or so when the cartoon came out. Had the cartoon, had the figures, then the movies. I mean, it's just every, and now that I have my kid, he'll watch some of the cartoons, not that last one, but, for a while I had him watching the 2003 or 4 or whatever cartoon, and he likes the toys. And now with all the NECA stuff that's out, as adult collectibles,
yep,
like it's just hitting me at every age. So,
oh yeah, it's even worse now because we're all rebuying our childhood. Mm-hmm. And I mean, now that you have things like money and a job and all that, you could come home. Oh, yeah. It's like, I've got another package. Oh, what's in this one? And that's how you end up with a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, the movie 3 catapult in your living room.
Right. I've got that Casey mask, that NECA Casey mask, man. That thing is sweet. I am expecting mine from the Kickstarter from the fan film Casey Jones Livewire. I did the Kickstarter, and I'm going to get one of the movie production masks. Oh, that's cool. I missed out. I didn't see that.
They're probably still doing something like that, but yeah, it's actually already filmed. It was filmed here in Chicago, and I met the actor that's playing Casey. He's an artist, and I met him at a con, and we just like started talking. I was looking through his stuff, and I'm like, oh my god, this is great. He has like all these drawings of like Slash and stuff, and I'm like, this is great. And then years later, it's like I find him and I'm like, wow, you're doing this? It's so crazy.
That's pretty cool. Yeah, I mean, Turtles it's perfect. I mean, because you think about, even Power Rangers isn't quite as good as Turtles, because Power Rangers, you pick your favorite color, right? Just like you asked me earlier, who's your favorite turtle? It's your personality. It's your horoscope. Which turtle is your favorite? Which one do you identify with the most? And that's what's special about Turtles, unlike Power Rangers, or X-Men a little bit. You can kind of be like, oh, I'm grumpy like Wolverine, or I'm slick like Gambit. But I
am a huge fan of Rogue. Rogue is like one of my favorite comic book characters.
Oh yeah.
Like even like I have a whole shelf of just Rogue. So
I've got several Rogue things. Rogue and Gambit is my power couple for comics.
Nice.
I love Rogue and Gambit the most. But
well, you did mention the Mr. and Mrs. X, so that was a great series, and it was so cool to see that they got together again at the end. And I forget what the number was, but it was Kitty Pryde was supposed to get married to Colossus. It didn't end up working out, but
it was like X-Men Gold 15 or something like that. I forget what it was. I actually spoof in Ginger Avenger 3. My favorite comic cover of all time, I think is it X-Men 24, where Gambit and Rogue are kissing. I think it's 24.
Oh, that is 25. I want to say
25.
Holding her up, and it's got like the red background.
Yep. So that's my favorite cover.
That's a great cover.
Yeah, in Ginger Avenger 3, there's a panel that is that cover that we spoofed.
That's awesome.
Oh yeah.
That's really cool. And I'm glad to hear that you're a Gambit fan. He goes through like he was one of the coolest characters of the 90s, and then it's like as you get on, people don't realize it's like, oh, he kind of lost favor because they're like, oh, he's problematic because he hits on women. I'm like, come on, man.
Oh, whatever. Yeah, Gambit's my number 3 superhero of all time. Followed. Do
you know who did his voice for the cartoon?
I can't name the guy, but I've seen pictures of him and stuff.
He was the son on Kung Fu: The Legend Continues.
Oh, really?
I couldn't believe that. It blew my mind. I'm like, oh my god, I love that show.
Okay.
Yeah, that was Gambit.
Huh, that's crazy. Yeah, you get some of that kind of stuff, from time to time. Like when Sean Astin did one of the voices for one of the Turtles.
Raphael,
and Seth Green did one of them. What was that one? Oh, shoot. The kid from RoboCop 2 did the voice of Little Nemo.
Oh my goodness.
Nemo in Slumberland.
That's crazy because that kid was so good in RoboCop 2.
Yeah.
And it's so funny. You're like, wow, what a little sociopath.
Yeah. It's I remember looking that up and I was like, oh my God, that's that kid from RoboCop 2. That's a great
death scene too, actually, where he gets killed.
It's been a long time since I've seen it, but yeah, I love RoboCop.
I did rewatch all the RoboCops last year, except for the new one. Not the new 2014 one, but there was like another one that they made like off-brand RoboCop. It's like someone had the license and it was like RoboCop Dark Vengeance, and I'm like, this looks terrible. I have to see it.
Yeah, that last movie was okay. It wasn't horrible. It was all right.
I think they missed the mark on a couple things, but it sure looked cool. I'll say that.
Yeah, it looked all right. I mean, the first two, the third RoboCop movie got a little Steven Seagal kind of out there, but yeah, it's
flying somersaults and all that.
Yeah, I mean, those first two movies were awesome.
I agree.
Back when I was 9 and 10 years old, I've got one RoboCop figure, and I think it's from 2. I think.
I just love that Red Foreman is the bad guy, in the first RoboCop.
In the first one, wow.
Yeah. That's so awesome.
Yep, that's Kurtwood Smith.
Yep. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I think I didn't even realize that. I almost think I'm pretty good with movie knowledge and shit, and I want to say somebody told me that once, and I said no, he wasn't, and that was like the one time where I was wrong or something like that. So, but yeah, I mean, nostalgia, it's the best.
That's awesome. So, I wanted to just ask where people can find you, because you mentioned a couple different places, and we of course have cutthroatcomics.com, and that's a really good place to go, and you can actually buy the books that we were talking about here. I mentioned that there's a there's a USB drive that you can get that has everything on it.
Yeah, that flash drive, I think that's a bargain because you can get all the books for $25 or all the comics for $25, or you can get all of it for $40, except Hellscape. I think it's like $45 to add on Hellscape because that's new. I got to make money on that. I spent so many hours writing it. But
I agree with you absolutely, and
Yeah,
you should be compensated as such.
yeah, even $45 for 10 comic books and 7 books. I mean, Jesus, what do you want me to do? You know, you want me to cook your dinner in the microwave for you too while we're at it?
Yeah, exactly.
But no, that's a bargain. I mean, I want people to read my stuff. That's number one. You know, I can grow my fan base that way, by offering my stuff at a decent price. I'm not giving it away for free. I can't afford to do that. I'm trying to build this into something where I can quit my job and do this. But yeah, I mean, we're on all the social media things, Snapchat, Cutthroat Comics, Instagram is Cutthroat_Comics, Twitter's Cutthroat Comics, Facebook, Cutthroat Comics. Yeah, I mean, it's just Google it.
Are you planning to get out to some cons this year?
Yes. Yeah, the last one I did was March last year, and then everything went to hell.
Yep.
But I think, and on the website is a list of where we're going to be, but I think I've got like seven booked right now, starting in like June, I think.
That's fantastic. Are you coming out the way of Chicago?
Not quite yet. I'm not saying that.
Supposedly C2E2 will be in December.
Oh, really? Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's hard to do. I went to Knoxville, was the farthest I went from here. So I'm 45 minutes south of Toledo, Ohio, if you know where that's at.
I do actually. I drive through that on my way when I head out east there.
Yep. So I went to Knoxville. That's 8 hours. Most of the cons I've done are in Michigan and Ohio. Did I go to Pennsylvania? I went to Pittsburgh once, yeah. But eventually I'll make my way, further and further as we get going. It just takes time.
That's awesome. I want to thank you so much, Josh, for joining me, and just to get to talk about like your experience with Turtles and all that. It's, I know we don't go into in depth about the book, but that's like what this is about so much is just like that fandom of Turtles and like what makes it important to you. And I think that's what really resonates with a lot of people.
Yeah. When I saw your ad, when I did Tales of the Podcast, I was like, oh, I got to do that. I was like, I'm reaching out to that dude. I made a mental note right there. But yeah, man, I appreciate you having me on. I love talking Turtles. I love talking all this stuff. But Turtles, I mean, that's my number one, I think. If I had to pick a fandom, it's got to be number one.
That's awesome. It's funny because it wouldn't be mine. It comes in just after Fraggle Rock.
Oh, you know what? I've got the McDonald's little toys over there.
Oh, like the radish and the carrots, man. That's great.
Yep, all four of them.
I mean, trust me, I could go on like talking to you for hours about like the Conan stuff and all that. So, but what I'll do is I'll take a break here and we'll get back to the comic. But thanks for joining me, Josh.
Awesome, man. I appreciate it.
And now, in a segment that we call Pizza Time, where we discuss any Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle or pizza-related food, I give you Pizza Time.
It's pizza time.
Hi everyone, it's pizza time once again, and today we're looking at a new recipe for New York-style pepperoni pizza. Straight out of the Ninja Turtles pizza cookbook, we have Raph is a purist when it comes to pizza, and this one is just how he likes it. Straight to the point, covered with pepperoni, and finished with a kapow of spicy red pepper flakes. If you need to tone it down, just skip the flakes and serve it pizza shop style with shakers of dried oregano, garlic salt, and Parmesan on the side. Ingredients: cornmeal or flour for dusting, extra virgin olive oil for brushing and greasing, 1 pound ball pizza dough, homemade. You could use the recipe from our previous episodes. 1/2 to 2/3 cup New York style pizza sauce, also from our previous episode, but in the book it's on page 23. 3/4 cup of shredded low moisture mozzarella cheese, 4 tablespoons of freshly grated Parmesan cheese, 3 ounces of sliced pepperoni, and a pinch of crushed red pepper flakes. Right? You can actually lighten it up if you want, and you use a whole wheat dough if you like. Instructions: baking stone. Place your baking stone on the middle rack of the oven and preheat to 500 degrees Fahrenheit for 30 minutes. Then turn on the oven to broil. Dust the pizza peel or inverted baking sheet with cornmeal or flour. That's for the baking sheet. Baking sheet, preheat the oven to 500 degrees Fahrenheit with a rack in the middle position. Lightly coat a heavy-duty rimmed baking sheet with olive oil. Step 1. Stretch or roll the dough into a 12-inch disc and place it on the prepared pizza peel or on a baking sheet. Step 2. Spread the sauce on the dough, leaving 1-inch border all around. Sprinkle on the mozzarella, then 2 tablespoons of Parmesan, and arrange the pepperoni slices on top. Step 3. Finish with the remaining 2 tablespoons of Parmesan. Brush the exposed dough with olive oil. Step 4. Shimmy the dough from the peel to the hot baking stone or transfer the baking sheet on the oven. Step 5. Bake until the crust is golden, the cheese is melted, and the toppings are just beginning to blister. About 6 to 8 minutes on the baking stone or 10 to 15 minutes on the baking sheet. Step 6. Remove the pizza from the oven and let it cool for 5 minutes, then sprinkle with red pepper flakes. And slice and serve. Thank you for listening to the Epic Tales from the Sewers podcast. The Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles were created by Kevin Eastman and Peter Laird. This podcast has no affiliation with Eastman, Laird, IDW Studios, Nickelodeon Studios, Archie Comics, or any other Turtles properties. This podcast is a member of the Epic Sewers Podcast Network. Be sure to check out our other great shows, some turtle-related, some not. Thanks for listening. Epic Tales from the Sewers is recorded by Justin Cooper.
Terrificon, Connecticut's #1 Comic-Con, is back at Mohegan Sun on July 30th to August 1st. Meet actors and superheroes. Shop for cool stuff. It's 3 days of Comic-Con fun. Terrificon, Connecticut's #1 Comic-Con at Mohegan Sun, July 30th through August 1st. Learn more at Terrificon.com.
Everyone thinks because you're a zombie, you don't know good coffee. Well, they're wrong. We have very active lifestyles. It's not all wandering the countryside aimlessly or scaring passing motorists. And we all love a good cup of joe. And there's only one brew that gets my seal of approval. Deadly Grounds coffee is my guilty pleasure. Bold, robust, delicious. It's coffee that can wake the dead. With over a dozen different roasts and flavors, Deadly Grounds can satisfy the most finicky of coffee addicts. The aroma is so intoxicating. It brings all of my neighbors out of the woodwork. Deadly Grounds coffee. Coffee to die for and zombie approved. It's good to get a little deadly. Use the front door! Oh, they're so disgusting.